Hi guys, welcome back to Bread for Toast, episode 21. No funny cold open today, sorry though. But we are joined on the second episode of this mini-series by Zelion or Nathan, who is best known for his second place finishes in esports in Malta.
Yes.
Hello Zelion, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invite.
Yes. You guys know him as Zelion, of course. I'm going to say Nathan because it's a bit
all
weird
good.
to say Zelion, to your face. It's a bit weird as well, that second place joke. As Palissa Arsenal have come second basically 3 years running ago. So Tottenham a bit more difficult.
We're more on the downside nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, you're competing with United. 20 years ago, that would have been quite a compliment. As mentioned, this is the second episode in the series. A couple of weeks ago, we spoke to Jensen about League in Malta. You, of course, are mainly involved in Counter-Strike, but you've involved yourself in many scenes. Maybe you want to introduce yourself a bit as well for the people at home.
Yeah, so name, of course, is Zelion. I compete for the team XXI. I've competed since probably 2016 now. I first started with League of Legends. And then after a while, I realized kind of League of Legends wasn't really my thing, but then I switched over to Counter-Strike, which was more kind of in my zone with FPSs and shooter games. That's basically how I started.
All right, thank you. So, apart from competing, you've also helped the community a lot, I'd say. Not just the Counter-Strike one, we'll get into that a bit later. But like I said, we're going to focus a bit on this sort of scene, especially Counter-Strike. I feel like it's such a storied esport, and one that's always there in every sort of country. There's always a sort of Counter-Strike, whether it's a big scene or a small scene, it's always there. Otipo, you mentioned you started participating in 2016. I remember my first LAN in 2018, so a couple of years later. I remember you there, you had won that LAN actually. So the second place joke for once was kind of irrelevant.
I think it was my first Counter-Strike win as well.
So I don't know if you want to talk us through maybe, because to me, those are the early days of the scene. So I know there was
but they're the early days for you and probably for me as well.
Yeah, so talk us through those early days of Counter-Strike back when it was still Global Offensive, because now obviously this year.
Yeah, so in like I said, 2016 is when I started. There was League of Legends. The League of Legends scene was really like peaking. There were like 16 teams. There was banter going on between the league scenes. But yeah, after a while, a friend of mine gifted me Counter-Strike, and I was already kind of a fan of CS. In the summer, I used to always watch ESL Pro League or ESL 1 Cologne back in the day. So CS was always like close to heart. And 2017 onwards, I grind CS a lot. And with my friends, we kind of improved slowly, but surely you're obviously going to improve the more time you invest into the game. And the first Nova Series announcement was made for hosted by Quickfire back in the day, and I believe they had announced they were having a Counter-Strike tournament, but they didn't have as many teams.
Okay.
So I was kind of indirectly tasked with kind of growing the scene to have enough teams. In fact, in the end, after we registered, it was us, Project Versio, the old roster. There was another team which I can't remember, and there was another team that came there to compete in Call of Duty.
Okay.
But the organizers told them to switch to Counter-Strike.
What year?
To connect. This was
2017.
I think 17.
Was this before the GMR LAN?
Yes.
Okay, all right. No,
this was Nova Series 1.
Okay, I love it. So the really first one.
Yeah, this is the first Quickfire LAN, the big one, at the Intercontinental Arena. So, yeah, the scene was pretty much dead. I mean, in years past, maybe in 2015, there were like a decent 6 teams, kind of, which I didn't really get to play because obviously I started CS late. And in 2017, that was the first LAN I took part in, competing-wise, because before that, there was the Malta Cyber Series one in Bojeba, but not the one that I won. The one before it, I had entered as a casual when they did the Code 2 revival.
Okay, alright.
So yeah, that one I just played as a casual, just to get my first. I remember I got my pay. I bought my 1,000 euro PC back then because I didn't even have one, and that was my first LAN. It was a great memory. But moving on to the Counter-Strikes, the scene was really dead. I had to push. I had to message people. I remember our roster wasn't even confirmed until 2 days before the LAN. With the Bulgarian guy, I think his name was. I can't even remember. But Counter-Strike was quite dead at the time for Nova Series. This was 2017. Yeah, it was not a very good space, but even then, like people were, Productiverse is taking part. I'm not really gonna
Yeah, I
put in the
remember that.
hours. That's where I feel, for me, that's where it started. Like having teammates saying that and having other competitors saying that.
Yeah. To
But
me, be very blunt, I was one of the people saying that.
I mean, it's fine to say it, but it should
Still take
only
part
it should
then,
only
yeah.
fuel you to
Exactly,
improve
exactly.
further. You know,
As a Gold Nova
that's
one
how I
back
used
then,
it.
so
Well, yeah, I
maybe
mean,
it was for no reason the complaints. Like, but
Yeah.
you said in 2017 there were a few teams, but then by 2018, my first LAN, the GMR one, a year later, there were 8 teams. So
Yeah.
did something happen in that time for
You're referring to which LAN?
the one that you won, the GMR
Yeah,
LAN in
so-
Bujiba, I think it was.
Yes, yes. So from 2017 to 2018, I kind of realized like, man, CS is like really my thing. I really enjoy it. There were not as many teams. I would like to kind of maybe even just improve my team because it wasn't enough to beat Everest. So like we got smashed in the 2017 LAN, and myself, I tried to push as much as I could. I tried to be active as much as I could on the Facebook group, and then I'm not exactly sure what happened. But from what I recall, Powers of Eversio had once announced like a friendly 10-man. I can't I completely forgot this era, but yeah, they Powers wanted to play 10-mans between Maltese people. We played it.
What's a 10-man?
It's yeah, probably I should explain that.
I
It's
don't
basically
play
like
CS.
like a friendly
So-
5-a-side of football, but
Alright.
instead you're doing it on CS.
Oh, okay.
It's
So-
like customs of league.
Yeah, 5v5.
Alright, okay.
It's like a custom game, yeah.
Okay.
It was completely for fun, but I believe they had played with their kind of Eversio roster, and we had played with our Team Mystic roster back in the day.
Okay.
With like Toxic Cherry. It was a completely
This is a
different era for
throwback,
me.
yeah, it's
It
a
is, it
throwback.
is. And we took it very seriously, and we went to overtime against Krepa as well. He was playing in it.
It's,
And I was like, yeah, I really enjoy this. We should do this more often. And after that, I kind of looked into the, Pop Flash. You remember the site?
yes, I was about to mention
Yeah,
back when
yeah,
it
yeah.
was on Pop Flash, not
Yeah,
Faceit.
because that's where we used to do it. So there was this website where you could do the customs. Because in CS, to host a server and stuff, it like costs money, and Pop Flash was a free site at the time. And yeah, from 2017 to 2018, we used to do like consistent 10-mans, and it honestly like grew the scene. Like you would play it, you would enjoy it, then you tell your friend, and then you kind of spread the word, and
Exactly,
slowly
word
but
of
surely you're
mouth,
growing
yeah.
the group. And I started to notice a trend that some players were more leaning towards other players. Like you could see the groups kind of clicking, and slowly but surely the teams were created. And yeah, then we moved on to Faceit, which is a tournament platform.
Yeah.
And there it was like Pop Flash, but kind of better because you could have leaderboards. You could see the match
Structured,
history.
yeah.
It was more structured, yeah. And
Advantage cheat.
and the anti-cheat, and most competitors are using Faceit anyway, so it was just 1-to-1. Like might as well use it.
Made more sense.
Yeah.
Anyone who plays CS even a bit knows that most of the games happen on Faceit.
Yes, for
So,
sure.
I mean, when people ask for your rank in Counter-Strike, they want your Faceit level.
I feel ashamed when people tell me like, yeah, my rank was MG2 Gold Nova, and I'm there trying to tell, like, I'm trying to say level 10, but at the same time, does he know what level 10 means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there's the Premier rank, and there's a whole
Yeah,
nightmare with
it's a bit
cheaters,
complex
so-
now, but yeah, I was seeing the trend growing for MPL, which I called back in the day Malta Pro League. Not so pro, but
Yeah,
at the time
it's still retained that name to this day, so it's stuck.
because it's stuck. It's
stuck.
It's really good for a quick abbreviation. And yeah, so the LAN was I can't remember the exact date, but it was sometime in the summer for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, it's early summer.
And yeah, the team started to grow, and we accumulated like 10 teams, which was
That was a really good tournament.
it was. I mean, for me, it was the best night of my life, apart from the Malta Esports Awards. But I assume we'll talk about that later.
Yes,
But yeah, that night was insane. I mean, or not even that night, like the
was a
entire
2-day
weekend.
event, yeah,
The
it was
entire
great.
weekend was insane. Like I could really see like esports, like passionate esports people there, competing them, and obviously the topping for me the experience was winning against Aversio.
yeah, that was really good, and that was that whole LAN. So much can be said about that LAN, and even with CS, like there's 10 teams. There was Team A and Team B. If you got completely, destroyed, you weren't dumped out. There
Yeah.
was the silver tournament.
Yes.
And then the silver tournament, the winner still got medals. There wasn't prize money then, but the winner still got medals.
Yeah.
And like that was my first LAN. I was Gold Nova won, I think, at the time. There was a team, I was in Form 4, I think, at secondary school. And there was like a group of Form 3s who played CS, because nobody in my year played CS seriously. There was a team, but they already had formed one. Do you know Kaneo of Aversio?
Yes,
Back then you used to play
Adrenaline.
CS, Adrenaline, exactly. They were like sponsored by Go and Fun, like this is some throwback. But they were basically a bunch of Form 3s, and one of their guys dropped out. And they're like, oh, we need a fifth. Do you want to join? And I joined the team. And we were disaster, but that was like the only team I ever scrimmed with and played against other teams like international, like pugs and so on. So that was and back then, to give you an idea of my setup, it's a €5 mouse. AliExpress wasn't popular back then.
It wasn't that thing, I think.
Mini in the box or light in the box, one of those websites back then. A keyboard, a €30 semi-mechanical keyboard, and a gaming laptop. And like maybe 60 FPS on CS, and
I think you came to LAN with the laptop, right?
I came to like my first 2 or 3 LANs with the laptop.
I remember.
I've never been to a LAN with a PC, because since I've bought a PC, there have been no LANs.
Yeah.
So but that LAN was great, and even the headset was like a €20 one with like so much noise was being picked up. I was using push to talk. Because it was too much sound, but that was amazing. And like you're mentioning these 10 teams, our first match was against Project Aversio. And
I mean, at least it was quick.
Yeah, I mean, we started. It wasn't terrible. I think it was like 3-1 at a point. And I was like, oh, guys, look, we got 1 round out of 3. And to be fair, by the time it was 5-1, because this was my first ever competitive match, I remember it quite well. It was on Mirage, of course. We were getting the rounds quite low, and then they just 16-1 steamroll, not even a chance. And I was like, oh, man.
At least you got 1.
There's levels to this game, you know? There's levels. And then we played that night as well. It was Euphoria Gaming, but their B team. There were so many players.
There were so many players, so many different teams. It was honestly, I think, the best era.
It was a great era.
I mean,
and
people weren't scared to participate. And that was the best
people were just taking part. Like the day after, there was the Fortnite tournament. I hadn't played Fortnite, and I just went in for that with some random guy on the other side of the land that I hadn't spoken to. I was like, "Oh, you want to join?" And we just joined the duo zone of Fortnite. So, and there were people speedrunning Portal in one corner, people streaming. There was Captain
That
Ghetto
land was
streaming.
amazing. That land, Malta Cyber Series, for anyone who's been there, honestly.
That was amazing.
I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did.
So recently as well, from Malta Cyber Series 4, I believe you have to correct me if I'm wrong here. You made a BR quote of Porto, I think. Was that the photo
recently?
Recently.
It was.
But after you made that, I like took that template exactly, and I'm like making an inside joke in our friend group as well. And that one that you made inspired it. No, but that LAN, that's a special LAN. That's a special LAN. There were LANs after that, you know, to move on now to 2019. I mean, I think before as well, once we're mentioning the actual competing in Malta, we have to talk about sort of the Eden, back when they were Quickfire and then they rebranded Eden, because obviously you were involved with that as well. And the tournaments with Tier 1 teams in Malta, because at the end of 2018, was that when there was the Champions Cup? Or there was something before, the Nova Series, the Supernova.
Supernova, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the first Tier 1.
That was the first big, like,
event
whoa, we have Tier 1 teams coming to Malta. And, I mean, at the time, I was still not employed by Eden. I was still like on the volunteering from what I can remember. But yeah, I mean, everyone was really hyped. I think there were teams like Virtus Pro, not G2, Team Liquid.
Yes, that was amazing. There was
Gambit,
NRG, Penguin back when they were really active.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of teams.
No, I mean, the community was like, in general, not just me, like everyone was excited to
Gambit came and they had just won the major. Gambit a couple of, not a year prior, they won the major. So Doja was still a massive name.
Yeah, of course.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, the for the final, the entire arena was packed.
Yeah, it was packed.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big stepping stone. I remember even posting on the Facebook group, the CS:GO Active Malta one, like, thank you to Quickfire for like having such a
event. Yeah.
I mean, it's such a big stepping stone. I mean, I'm pretty sure like the help of Gaming Malta definitely influenced their decision, like, to invest in esports, but. It was just a really big, like, we went from here to here with that event.
And that was I was a massive, back when they had the Polish roster, I want to say, arguably a top 10 Virtus Pro fan in Europe, I want to argue, because I
I
had
remember
like,
you were-
my
you were a
Twitter
diehard fan.
circle as well of like the top fans, and the rumor. We had like the group chat on Twitter. If there was a rumor, like the Polish guy sends it there because he obviously
Yeah,
could understand more than the rest of us and so on. And I remember it was Nikolai back then. And he put in the Facebook, he was working with Eden, and he put, or Quickfire, still they were back then, he put in the Facebook group chat some sort of like cryptic message, like, I heard temperatures are going to be very low in Malta in October, and we might see some polar bears. It's like, yo! And I remember messaging him. I was like, man, just tell me if they're coming or not.
Yeah.
Hanish Trill Billet.
Bro, that's 2018 era. Like that entire year was peak.
That was amazing.
At least for any Counter-Strike fan, it was peak.
And even then, like, right after going into 2019, there was a LAN like immediately around Easter time as well. So it was just so active back then.
Yeah.
So that was great. And the tournament though, vibes. And
Supernova was amazing. Like you would see friends of old, like people that, for example, for me, I used to play with in the Counter-Strike Source. Like we had cracked the game and playing it like together. It was an amazing experience seeing them like back and seeing the event. They had bought VIP tickets.
yeah, I had the VIP. Also, I had like
we were
the-
stealing nachos from each
yeah,
other.
exactly.
bro.
And there's like
It
the
was insane.
monsters from the fridge. And like I had the VIP tickets. Some of my friends didn't. So it's like, oh, which monster do you want? So
And you'd send people like
exactly. I go into my haversack and I'd leave with a haversack full of monsters. I didn't even like them, but it's like, oh, it's free. So I remember Free Hour. Do you guys know the student at Free Hour? They released like a discount code for the VIP ticket, and I got it for like 33% off. I got like 2,000. Like,
Pretty
okay,
good.
that's really good. I wish that T-shirt I had bought it back then of the event, because they made an actual jersey.
Yeah,
for
I
this
have it
event.
all signed.
I didn't buy that. I had
Every player signed.
Quickfire then, like that day. They had like these cheap white T-shirts that they were just giving to whoever
Yeah,
asked.
yeah.
And I just got one of that signed by as many teams as I could.
Yeah, I mean, I have every signature with the white shirt, but I also have the jersey itself.
When we cut this video, I should go and get the signed stuff, because I have the signed stuff, so that would be really good.
Yeah, it's dope.
That's really cool. Obviously Virtus Pro when they were still Polish. That was to me peak, because I knew that they had been on a downward trajectory for
Yeah,
2 years
yeah.
at that point, and I knew that they were about to like get the axe. And with that roster, that was their last tournament. Then
think
as
so.
soon as they went back to Poland,
Yeah.
the team was stopped. So that was like just in
and
time.
another mark which some might not have realized, but Team Liquid back then were the choke kings. Like,
Yes.
they would always get second and or dump out, lose from like a major tournament, and
This was right before their dominant era.
Supernova was the first tournament they completely won. Like they were the clear victors, and from then onwards, like their confidence boosted. So you could make an argument. I know it's like,
Butterfly
it's
effect.
far-fetched,
Butterfly effect,
but-
to be fair.
due to Supernova, we had a Liquid winning the Grand Slam and in record time. So
Yeah, and that American dominance era. Of course, there was never the major.
yeah.
unfortunately, but-
I mean, Astralis were definitely.
Yeah, I remember that tournament. It was Berlin 2021 when Liquid had then started being really competitive. Was it 2019?
Berlin
2019.
19,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it was literally not even a year after the Supernova. And there was that quarterfinal matchup, Astralis Liquid, and that should have been the final.
It should have.
And everybody's diamond coin bet on that game, whether you picked Astralis or Liquid. And I picked Liquid.
I
so.
picked Liquid as well.
I was a believer in the dream. But then
Yeah.
Astralis pulled out Vertigo and it was still new. But
Yeah.
I think even the esports scene back then was internationally was really peak, really at its peak.
It was good. I mean, nowadays there's a totally different atmosphere, kind
Yeah.
of, because people are.
Even how they take it so much more seriously now.
I think the main difference is that the old players of old, which are like the Olaf Meisters, your
the Pashas.
Simples, the Pashas, like the core players, which it's like football though, kind of like you have Xavi and Iniesta kind of retiring, and I mean, actually Iniesta probably isn't even retired yet, but
Yeah, still playing in Japan.
Yeah, like in CS, like having these players retired, it's like you're losing a part of the fan base, you know.
And I think it's really heavy hitting in CS. Because football, like, you have a team of 26, 27
I think
players.
there's a sense of loyalty in football which you don't get in Counter-Strike or in esports. Like in esports, you're mainly gonna follow like
You follow the players.
you
obviously,
mainly
right?
follow the players or maybe the core of the team, but you're never like oh my god, I'm invested in all 5 players, the organization, I'm invested in this. Like
I was a massive Virtus
Yeah.
Pro fan. The day they dropped the Polish roster and signed the Vanguard was the day I stopped supporting a Counter-Strike team.
Yeah.
And I haven't found the core since. I'm like, oh, I like the end score of Snappy, Diha, Hades,
Yeah.
Nerds. I like that core as well. And then obviously when Ents became like wholly Polish apart from Glaive, for that short period of time, I was following them as well. But it hasn't been a team since then. It's like, oh, I really love that.
It's
And even-
tough, it's tough.
You don't follow Liquid as much anymore, to be fair. Like, I remember you were a massive
I
Liquid
was. I
ambassador.
still am. My Facebook cover
Yeah.
photo will still be meeting like the full Liquid team. Yeah, I mean, I still support Liquid. Obviously, Cupert also.
Yeah, Cooper plays for
He's
Liquid.
playing for Liquid
So-
Academy, and I mean, it's tough. It's tough to follow an entire esports organization because you're someone like me with limited time. You can't really follow League of Legends. You can follow the Rocket League scene. You can follow the CS scene all at one time. And yeah, I mean, as well, like roster changes have an impact on you as a fan. But this could be for anything. Like when they had the American roster with Stewie 2K, obviously I was more invested because Stewie 2K is my favorite player. But yeah, then roster changes happen, but it's kind of part of the sport. Happens, but yeah.
And also, the thing is with like, I forgot what I was going to say entirely. I was thinking of how I was going to continue the conversation, and then you mentioned Stewie 2K is your favorite player.
Yeah, but-
and I wanted to make a joke, like it's not Malbs of G2.
Oh man, now he is. Now he
No,
is.
he is. but
Yeah.
You don't know this, David.
I
but
don't know anything.
We should
bro.
like put a picture here, Anki, for the people.
Bro,
watching.
you have to, you
This
have
is
to.
his doppelganger, like IRL doppelganger.
I really, because for those that don't know, I referee in ESL Pro League, or I used to at least, because now they switched it to online and in Sweden. And so my last ESL Pro League that I worked was in October, I think, and I was really, really looking forward to referee G2. I didn't get to referee them, but one time I came passing them like hand warmers, like for the warm up and stuff, and he kind of looked at me and I was like, and he did like a double take, like do I actually know this guy or? That's funny.
To just think his reflection in the monitor, but when he turned his left, it's like, oh, yeah.
And another day I was so I didn't get to actually referee G2 unfortunately, but I was really hoping to meet him like through the playoffs, but they unfortunately got eliminated early and they didn't want to do signatures or fan meetups. But one time when I was refereeing 3D Max, like the French team, they like before warm up, because they warm up like an hour before and they have like 30 minutes to ready up and stuff. And at one time, like they have a really big group, like they're 8 people, 9 people, assistant manager, I don't know, whatever. Like they have a full roster in front of me, and I'm checking my phone, like making sure everything's set. And I see them kind of group up next to each other, and I'm behind them. Imagine this is the desks, like for the players, and I see them like all grouped up in one section, and they kind of all look towards me in one moment, and I'm on my phone like, hello, what do you need? What do you need? Because obviously as a referee you kind of need to be open
Sure.
and to help them. And they're looking at me and they start laughing like, and I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? And obviously they're speaking French, so I don't fully understand everything what they're saying. And they're saying, no, it's okay. You just look a lot like Malbs. So even the pros themselves kind of recognized, our resemblance. It's actually insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
insane.
It's like, when you see those photos online of 2 people who look identical, and you're like, wow, and it's like actually,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And he's crazy. He's from Guatemala, bro.
Do you have any Guatemalan heritage?
To my knowledge, no.
Yeah. This is actually the second consecutive episode where 3D Max are getting mentioned, because in our most recent one, we cut to that snippet of, I think it was Katowice, where they were playing Vitality, and he was like yelling across the stage. We put that like snippet in because it was really funny, because we were saying how Val, the Riot, are sort of pretty strict with the pros and what they can do, and then it's just CS, it's just the opposite. Like you just see Machine and Sponge just enjoying a beer on stream as well, and like quadruple overtime.
Counter-Strike esports is unmatched. I mean, you
it's
can say
amazing.
League of Legends is the biggest esport,
In
which
viewership.
is true. Viewership, even player numbers, but when it comes to actual entertainment, the show, because obviously you're not just looking at the esports games, you're looking at the entire spectrum. You're looking at the analysts, at all the work they put in, the casting, the entire, like when you watch CS, it feels like cinema, bro.
There's
Like,
no event
a
like
grand
Pro League.
final. I mean, for example, the majors, I think at least not as many active players, they're always watching majors.
Yes,
Like,
for sure.
they're not going to be watching your IM Katowice and Cologne all the time. But the majors, they would definitely tune in because it's such a spectacle. It's a really big thing.
So historical in esports
It is,
as well.
it
It's
is.
such a weight to it.
I don't follow CSO. I've watched the majors sometimes as
yeah,
well.
that's
so-
what I'm saying.
massive,
That's what
it's
I'm
massive.
saying. Like,
And Pro League, for example, or because like I want to say CS Summit, that hasn't happened in years, but I sort of feel like Pro
Yeah.
League is the spiritual successor to CS Summit.
it kind of is, yeah.
Because CS Summit was an event, for context, a LAN that was not meant to be taken seriously at all. I mean, it was still a pretty prestigious event, but
Yeah.
the casters were just chilling on a sofa, just
Literally,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
random stuff. during
And
the
they kind
match.
of still do it, but not for CS. They do it for Dota, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
And
yeah,
recently they might have done it for like Rocket League. I don't know. The entire Summit situation is. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but maybe they just didn't have time to put it in the calendar
Yeah.
for themselves. But
Which
yeah,
is a shame,
the
'cause it
event
used to
was
be
really
good.
chill,
It was really
and
good.
I guess it's kind of transition to
Pro League,
Pro
yeah.
League now.
Because with the skits, and I love those skits. I'm gonna
Yeah,
miss
the
them.
skits are the best.
Because Pro League was in Malta since like season 16. It's true that because of COVID, the first 3 were all online. And the players will still come to Malta, but it was a studio event, I think.
Actually, I don't think they all came to Malta. I think the one that Cadian won, they were online for sure.
No, that was online. But that was
But
like
there was one.
early, that was like peak COVID.
I
time,
can't
think.
remember. Maybe 2021 was the first one that they came to Malta.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was lucky enough not to referee that, but it somehow happened that the IEM Rio, which was the major in
Yeah.
2020,
2020, the one that outside
yeah,
was on.
2020, it happened that due to the calendar being so tight, they had to do the RMR in Malta. So,
I remember that, yeah.
like a day after Pro League ended, the RMR started, and RMRs are the qualifiers for the major, of course. And yeah, that's what I mean. I still have my desktop wallpaper, me refereeing. Like, it was an amazing experience.
It's amazing to go on HLTV and see a picture of yourself.
Yes,
there.
yes,
That's like
no, it's-
crazy.
it's
So
insane. And
I actually appeared not on the website, on HLTV's Facebook page. When
Okay.
there was the supernova, they do
I
like,
remember this
they
photo.
did the photo dump of like all the photos
Yeah.
that day. And they did all of those photos are on HLTV, except for the very last one. And on Facebook, the very last one is this photo of like me, the Virtus Pro Scout.
I remember this photo. yeah.
So that was that. I remember that. That was crazy.
That's a good photo. Actually.
I remember like they came and asked me like, "Oh, can we tag you on Twitter?" And that was quick fire though. Like I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure." And the tweet got like because then I retweeted that and got like 18,000 impressions.
It's crazy. actually.
So that was amazing era. And like because we spoke a bit about esports, going back to the competing now as well. 2019 was right before LAN sort of changed their format, because I think post-COVID it's been such a complete shift in how
Yeah.
tournaments are actually happening. And I remember the tournament at Easter in 2019, and I don't think there was CS, but you have to correct me here.
The tournament in April.
In April, exactly. So not the one, because then in summer there was another tournament, which was the last Eden Esports LAN, which was the qualifiers for the international, for the national team.
Yeah.
But in April there was one before. So just go through those 2 tournaments. Because I this one in April, I don't
There
remember
was
very well.
one. There was the PlayCon Community Cup,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if that was in April. I'm not entirely sure. That tournament wasn't even a LAN. It was just we had like an. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's PlayCon, but at least this one was in 2019 for sure. They had, it's like regular PlayCon, but they had like a section, and we were. It's not even a LAN. You just go there. You set up your stuff. You're 5v5. If you win, you continue to the bracket, and if you lose, you're out. And yeah, that tournament we kind of had an easy bracket, I would say. We played against 2 Maltese teams. It wasn't really challenging. Like our worst win was like 13-6. And but then yeah, good old Project Aversio with Sling and Sick, 2 Swedish really good players. And yeah, we were never gonna win.
Was
That's
that
BO3.
back during the time of Iconic Cinco? Or...
This was Iconic Cinco era. Iconic Cinco is a team I founded.
Okay.
Well, founded. I mean, kind of created as a kind of to rival Aversio.
Alright.
Well, it failed.
He says with the Aversio jersey.
Yeah, if you can beat them, you join them.
Yeah.
Sure.
But in that team, yeah, it was me, Cupid, which is now a Valorant Pro for Team Liquid Academy. Just a bunch of other guys like Trevor, someone that's still playing to this day. There was Jake Lela, I think, or not Jake Lela, no. I can't remember the
Is this
exact
Trevor who
roster.
also plays for Reverso
ZRZ.
nowadays?
ZRZ was with us.
Okay.
And there was a guy, Liam, which stopped playing a long time ago now.
All right. And the Trevor is the one who also plays for Reverso now.
Yeah.
So another.
We moved.
Yes. It was the natural next step.
Yeah. So that was the first one. I think that was in April, but I'm not entirely sure.
Right, because there's one that I'm thinking about where it was in the Intercontinental Arena. And like I was helping Eden that event, like set up back when John used to still help with Eden.
Yeah.
And they had like a stage where the finals were on that stage. And it wasn't the big stage at the end. It was like the square stage in the middle. And they had like a VR setup and they had like the Tetris with the fruit and so on. It was quite casual, but there was still...
Maybe it was the WSG qualifier tournament.
That was the one after.
That was the one after.
That was the one
before
after.
it.
I was there with the PlayStation.
I think that was
playing
the LAN I
Apex.
missed, actually.
Okay, it might have been. Because I was there with the PlayStation.
And there was
playing
no
Apex.
CS, you're saying?
I don't think there was CS. Because I probably would have joined it.
Because I wasn't there.
And I remember was Cupid was there. And he had like a tiny PC. And he was explaining to us how he was like buying the smallest components for the lowest profile build.
Yeah.
And it's like really nice. Like small white PC, but really like a beast, and that's what I remember from that. Like I remember my laptop, because I was still on the laptop back then, was for like the third time the motherboard failed. So it was for the third time at repairs.
My God.
I had like 4 years of guarantee. They must have replaced this motherboard 4 or 5 times. They had to replace the whole screen once as well. This laptop was a disaster.
It's been through a lot.
It's been through a lot. I still use it from time to time. But now like there's like the lines in the middle of the screen and everything.
It's beginning to say.
Exactly.
It's beginning to finally show its age.
So last time I used it was during MCL, which we'll get to in a second. But I was trying to use it to have a spectator, so we could like record the matches from a third like person perspective, and then rewatch. It was like 40 FPS, and that was back during CS:GO. It wasn't even CS2 yet. It was just a disaster. And Face It have demos anyway. So
Yeah.
but that LAN, I was with the PlayStation, and everybody, I was playing Apex, and they were like, man, the frame rates are a disaster on the PlayStation.
can't
They're like,
imagine.
I know, but what can I do? So shout out as well, I have to say, to the president. He was the president. He's now the events officer of the ICTSA, to Cryptic. That was the first event where I met him. He used to compete in Black Ops 4 back then.
I remember he was always like a Call of Duty type
it's
player.
a throwback. So shout out, this was the first time I met him. But then there was the WSG qualifiers in summer where there was CS as well. So
I think I know what you're gonna ask me.
I wasn't actually. I was going to ask you
okay.
to explain how you did in that tournament, because that tournament to me, had
That was a mess.
a 10-hour delay,
That was probably the worst LAN.
and it was. I didn't even go for the LAN that one. I just went for the CS tournament, and I had a couple of friends who were staying for the LAN back. I forgot his username, but it was Ryan back then. Not Kazuto, a different Ryan, but they were friends.
Can't recall.
Was Kami?
Kami.
Exactly. That was a LAN.
That LAN, just to, because I'm still getting asked about this, like to this day. Basically,
Give us the lore.
that LAN.
Stand wait before. We should check, because I think we've been going for over.
We have done like half an hour, so let me just.
Because it's
count
almost
down
10.
Yeah.
So we are talking about the WSG LAN. We just made sure everything was still running, and you're going to give us the rundown because people are still asking you about it. I didn't know this that people speak so much about this song.
WESG qualifier LAN was a shambles. It was marked as everything was bad about it. Imagine like everything that could go wrong went wrong. So the announcement is made that Eden esports, actually back then I think it was already. That Eden were hosting a WESG qualifier. So the WESG is the World Electronic Sports Games. So the esports games, but it's like the World Cup.
Okay.
Where like teams from around Europe, from around the world, they come to a specific country, they play there. It's like a tournament and whatever. But it's a big deal because you're representing your country. And so obviously there are restrictions because you need to represent your country. You can't go with like 5 foreigners. And you had 3 that needed to have a permanent residency in Malta, and and 2 could have been foreigners. It doesn't matter, because that's the WSG rule. And obviously,
it's so that the majority of the team is from a specific.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to be.
The problem is just residing in Malta, not being
Yeah, there were a
Maltese.
lot of like questions about is he actually living permanently here? Because you know a lot of foreigners come to Malta nowadays
Yes.
to tourism and whatever, and obviously teams like us and the Versio were trying to like bend around the rule, because obviously if you have 2 players which are really good foreigners and you could kind of get the 3 best Maltese players, then you're kind of guaranteed
Set.
the spot. And I think Versio had Krapau. Krapau is like playing in a really high level in CS now, and I'm not sure Slinger wasn't with him yet. He was playing with another team, and
These are both foreigners. Just
yeah. And our team had kind of Kellera, which is a Macedonian player which I won with in the land that we were mentioning, the MCS4. We had Ze, which also I won with, and Kellera wanted to bring his friend Kevix from Macedonia as well. But if you counted correctly, that's 3 players which are foreign. So we kind of we were told by the organizer that these 2, since they're living in Malta, they're valid to play with. They're eligible. But then it kind of became a thing where these are actually 3 foreigners and we're only 2 Maltese. And it was me and Trevor. And on paper, this roster will win. Like, I'm pretty sure. I was really confident we could win. But then Nikolai, the organizer for Aiden Esports, he was like, we can't have this happening. Like, after him telling me, yes, we can do it, like 2 days before, or actually at the event probably, he tells me, no, we can't do it. And I'm like, okay, so what I'm about to do, what's the solution, you know? And at the time, I'm calling everyone I know that plays CS, like at least who's available and trying to compete with us, and I couldn't come up with no one. And our game was like about to start, like 30 minutes. So it was such a big hassle, and Nikolai told us, I'll stand in for you. And as you might recall, that's like a big conflict of interest.
yeah.
And so we had no other choice. We would either play with 4 people, and yeah, he got his wish to play with us. We played. We came to the semi-final, and then we were playing against the team of Pocho, maybe Hasha, I think as well.
I remember this team. Was it?
It was
Vanille? Was it?
I can't
No,
recall.
I remember the team though. I remember.
But yeah, it was Pocho, Hasha, and Slinger, and 2 other Swedish players. And but they were living permanently, so it was valid for them. And we're playing against them, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. Like we're already mid-game, and we're beating them hard. And the game just paused, like mid-game, in the map. It
just stopped.
And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a long pause. I asked the referee. It was gonna be long. I went to the bathroom, and I came back. And I'm seeing like an entire crowd surrounded next to our stand.
I know. Is this the TeamSpeak thing? Oh my god! I love this story.
I hate it. And an entire crowd, which were obviously watching us. So you would have to our viewers the stand, and our stand like team here, and in the middle you would have the projector with the
live game with no delay.
It was the live game with no delay.
Because it wasn't on Faces, it was on
on
a custom server, so there was no delay.
We couldn't see anything from it, just to clarify things. But
the crowd could.
As I said, we had a Macedonian like core team, kind of. So I didn't clarify. Nikola Ze, which was the Serbian player, stepped out, so Nikola could play. So we played with Hevix and Kellera, which are the 2 Macedonian players on our team. And obviously they had a friend in the crowd, Macedonian friend, which still haunts me to this day. And he was watching the game, like in front of everyone. Everyone's Maltese there, like everyone that's watching apart from him, everyone's Maltese. And we were in the game. Obviously, I came from the bathroom. I'm seeing everyone around us. I'm like, what the hell is happening, man? I thought we paused so I could go to the bathroom, not because of this stuff. And basically, they explained to me that he was using the phone during the game, and he was like, it's like he was calling, And apparently, he was on TeamSpeak. So once he was caught, because Maltese people were noticing he was speaking to the phone, and they were like, wait, like these guys are good. How are they getting beat this bad? And they asked the organizer to check in, and David, the organizer, he was like, yo, what are you doing? And this guy, the Macedonian guy with the phone, like he just ran away. He went under the projector through the hallway, from what I've been told, because I wasn't there. Obviously, I was in the bathroom, and he will like uninstall TeamSpeak in the moment.
I remember when this is happening, the drama on Twitter.
And bro, I'm shocked because the guys I'm playing with are really good players.
They
would never go. I don't know what they would do, but from my experience being on the team and in their voice comms, we didn't really have any info or whatever. From what I could gather, like myself as a theory, I think he was like with his friends, like actual friends from back in Macedonia, and he was telling them like how's Calera doing, how I thought I'm thinking positively about the situation because there's like always like a shadow. Like, could we have been cheating?
They assumed like he was giving info.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Alright.
the main issue because they thought
Because you couldn't see the project.
I think the reaction of the guy really sold.
The reaction
Yeah,
is
he was
insane.
happening.
For someone, if you weren't doing anything wrong,
Bro, yeah,
if you do that, that's the
yeah,
wrong
but I guess he was
reaction.
shocked because the organizer came with him and then he thought his team speak. I don't know. He really ruined the situation for us. And what's even funnier is that after he was excluded from the event, like he was kicked out, we beat them even harder. So if we were winning like 13-5, we then won the game 16-3. So
the game was restart.
Yeah, we had to restart from the beginning, and we showed like we could beat them without the so-called cheats.
Yeah.
That event haunts me.
At least you didn't get disqualified or something. Or...
I mean, there was no proof. There was.
No.
I mean, it goes to show
But
how
it looks bad. It looks bad.
It looks really
looks
bad.
very
Look,
bad.
from the outside, it looks really bad, even from the inside. And I think it goes to show like how far away we are from having a proper esports ecosystem and like proper rulings, like referees and the stuff. We don't really have to this day, bro. Like if you go on Mesa, the Malta Esports Association website, referees, it's only me and Jandre, and probably there's Adam T Spark, which is another referee. But
And if you're playing in a tournament, you're not going to referee it.
there's no structure to anything, man. If you go to a tournament abroad, you have like the broadcasting team, and then you have the referees, you have the people that like manage the players,
The media.
you have everything.
Here, it's all the same.
Here, bro, you're probably
It's
doing
both-
the media, playing and casting. I'm doing playing, managing the team, casting.
Media's.
Bro, it's horrible. It's horrible. So yeah, that LAN was something I'd probably rather forget. And to top it all off, because I forgot to mention this, after the event finished, obviously we played a version on the final. We lost. Obviously, this is where the second place trend comes through. And yeah, we lost. But what we then realized is that the FWESG qualifier was an open qualifier, which means you didn't really need to win this tournament to get an
You
invite.
could have just applied to the open qualifier.
It could have been anyone in Malta that applied. Anyone could have played in it. So I basically got accused of cheating for nothing.
basically.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's it's not a story I like telling, but
And that LAN, like, I took part. There was like a 10-hour delay. My match was meant to start like 2 in the afternoon, and I had 4 matches. I finished at 6 a.m. and I didn't sleep that night. It just kept
It was
going
so
to the
bad.
night.
It was so
We had a
bad.
match at like 3 a.m. And as well, there was 2 setups. There were 20 PCs. Some were 120 hertz, 144, sorry, and some were 240 hertz. The ones on stage.
yeah.
So it's like, oh, have you got like the 144 hertz? I was like, worse. I was simply on 60 hertz.
Yeah.
I was playing on 60 hertz until like a month ago because I had a 144 hertz monitor not connected to the motherboard instead of the GPU. So, but that was like pre-COVID, and now we have post-COVID. You know, obviously the LAN stopped for a long time. There was the online era, which in Malta, I mean, CS was dead.
We never had an online era.
COVID, CS was completely
If it weren't for Level Academy, I think any esport would be dead now.
completely.
We like Level Academy kept pushing with Fortnite tournaments, Warzone tournaments. I can't remember what other tournaments.
And
but
you swapped
they
to
were hosting a
Warzone
lot.
for a while.
Yeah. I mean, CS was dead. No one really wanted to play it. No one was organizing tournaments for it. So actually, there was some tournaments which were the Malta National League. Oh, sorry, it was MNL.
Yeah.
Which was, if you won it, you would get a spot in the Eden Esports
It was
European tournament.
It was the precursor to the Champions of Champions Tour.
Yeah. So there were some tournaments, but never as seen. Like, no, you wouldn't manage to get a 10-man stack to play. So yeah, I just made the eventual switch. Like at this time, I never played for Eversio. I was just a video editor. Maybe I had like, I always try to help Eversio, like even in my Iconics and Co era. But then I realized like, managing a team is like really, really tough. You have to spend a lot. You need to have a lot of sacrifices. You need to be like kind of communicating with the players, And yeah, I just gave up on that for that time. and I always wanted to play in a Versio. It was like a really big dream of mine.
I think most Maltese players, their aspiration is to get involved in some way.
Yeah, exactly.
With a Versio, because they're like the team.
Yeah. And so I saw an opening with Warzone. I had played the first tournament. Coincidentally, you mentioning ICTSA was the first Warzone tournament we took part in.
Which year was this?
2020, I think.
2020.
2020 at the very end.
Illallo. So this was the year before I was in uni. So it was the gaming tournament prior to Clash. Was it Clash called?
It
Clash
was.
Or was it something else?
ICTSA Clash tournament, I think.
Ġifieri, they had already been doing Clash.
This is the one that she said it had happened before.
Exactly, because our last episode was talking about Clash, coincidentally.
Yeah. No, that was a tournament, honestly, I'm really thankful for, because it was me, Daryl, like Parallel, Posh, a friend of mine, and Minky. And we just said like, we just Warzone tournament, we apply, we play it, and we see how it goes, for fun. And we played insane that tournament. It was basically like getting the high placement, and you get the points for the placement, and obviously you get points for the kill. And I remember like in one of the games we even met a Maltese team in the final 2. So it was us and another Maltese team. And in one of the I uploaded these highlights a long time ago. And once I killed the guy in the final, top 2 situation, he's like, it was insane. Like, and then I was like, dear Maltese. So yeah, that was the first like Warzone tournament I took part in, and it kind of ignited that competition fire in me again, because I had stopped from CS like a while ago. Because while the MNL, I was observing. I wasn't even playing.
And MNL was Mirage Nations League, not Malta National League, because the only match played was Mirage, and Versio won all 5 of it. I know Tallinnja Peak tried to do something, they never won it.
Yeah.
It was always.
I only played in 2 of them, I think, in those, because the others I was observing and I got paid for it, so I just went.
I might as well. So.
And so I went to Warzone for a while, like at least a year and a half, and I was good enough to at least join Diabol at the time.
Yeah, I remember that. They're not active anymore.
No, not at all. Which I mean, it was good that we joined, but at the same time, I knew it was like a dying team, and at the time, Project Versus didn't have a team. But they signed, or not signed, but Chubbs and Joel were playing with them, with Christo Ishmael. And I mean, we were competing like head to head against each other. They were still winning a lot. I was still getting second places. And one time Chubbs called me and he was like, yo, you're really good. And we're like, he didn't say these exact words. I mean, if he watches
paraphrasing.
If he watches this, he's gonna be like, it's alien. But he said like he wanted me to join their team, and we did. And then we did like an entire announcement video. We went to Level Academy. Lockstock helped us with like a video editing, and it was a dream of mine to play with them. Still am, thankfully. But for Counter-Strike and for Warzone, we competed in. I mean, a couple of tournaments actually, because at the time with COVID, only Warzone was really active, and there were a bunch of tournaments happening. So many people playing it. The customs, we could get so many people in it, and the scene was really active for Warzone at least. No win, unfortunately, with Project Versio, but we did get a second place. Me and Creamy. It was a second place to Stu. It was a German professional player. He played for Vitality in the esports World Cup last year.
It's a good second place.
It was. I'm proud of that second place.
Yes, yeah.
The other second place is not so much, but the tournament was like the Spooner and Max tournament, I think.
Okay, those were quite big.
It was big. But yeah, Warzone then eventually. I mean, the game got worse.
Yeah.
I mean, after if you guys have played it, it's really bad now.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And then
I hated Warzone because I loved Modern Warfare 2019.
Yeah.
And I was playing like it competitively, and then just Warzone came out, and the entire COD scene competitive just switched to Warzone, which I hate. But
also we kind of skipped the part where I played Valorant for like 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah, but we don't have Valorant.
Let's not skip it, because those tournaments I actually won.
There was the Clash, of course.
Yeah, we had a Clash tournament, and there were 2 more from Level Academy, which we won back to back to back. Yeah,
that must be so like CS is your game, and you always come in second, and then you play Valorant. It's Valorant. The CS, if CS players like you have to hate. I hate Valorant.
Nowadays, I mean, I can't really hate it because
really, I can't stand it. I played it a lot
because it's you can from my perspective, you kind of have to see it like, okay, there are players that started with Minecraft. There are players that have started with Fortnite. There are players that are starting with Valorant and realizing they're really good, and then switching to CS. So it kind of works both ways. If you're not good enough in CS, you might switch to Valorant and play well, and then vice versa. So
this low skill
you can't really hate it. I mean, it's at the time when CS was really, really bad in terms of the game updates and whatever. When Valorant came out, Valve were really
100%.
they really updated the game and made it better. Like competition always helps.
100%.
So yeah, that was the Valorant era, which we did well in. But then obviously with the Multinational League, we competed in CS again, and then it was Warzone, which I just mentioned. And Warzone got worse as a game, so we stopped, and then the team started dying out a bit.
It was like a week of multiverses and a week of Splitgate.
It was then obviously Splitgate came out, still the local champion for it. No other tournament has happened
One
yet.
and only.
And actually this weekend there was the Open Alpha, and I'm
Splitgate
loving
2?
it. I'm loving it. Yeah, Splitgate 2. So
You have to retain your crown when it comes out.
I have to. No, Splitgate is still one of my favorite games. And then I don't know what time this period would be. Then 2022 maybe. Like we started playing CS again slowly, or not 2022, actually 2023, because that's when the announcement was made for CS2, and like the community was so hyped, like, oh, we need to play CS again, and that's where the MCL got created. So it was me, Lockstock, Stakeli, I can't remember, like Notify. It was a bunch of people from the community that like wanted to contribute a bit, and we created the MCL, the Malta Counter-Strike League, and we were mainly just hosting at the beginning just 10 minutes just to grow the scene and get people comfortable again with the game.
The pings on the messenger at everyone,
Bro.
MPL tonight, and then +1.
MPL +1, but it's never really +1. It's always like +5.
But if you say +1, more people will join.
Exactly. So that was the method. So yeah, we kind of started growing the scene, and it was growing rapidly. I'm not gonna lie. It was like 40 players in our first tournament. So
Was
that's 8 teams.
MCL, the first league.
MCL online, I think it was.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And this tournament, I think, needs more credit because I love the draft system. And I know that's a hot take because I'm someone who's not very good at Counter-Strike. I've accepted my fate as a level 6, level 7 ELO player. And the level 7 is a stretch because I'm still level 6. I've accepted that. So for a level 10, you don't want to get put in a team with but as somebody who's hard stuck level 6, because the problem, I solo queue exclusively. I don't play CS with anyone. And I'm sure if I had a stack, eventually the level would go up as well. Like, I remember when you said Malta Cyber Series that you won. After you won it way back in 2018, you made like a tweet longer. And I remember reading that tweet longer, and you were like, I grinded until MG1 like solo queue, and then I joined Mystic. And I was like, okay, so let me grind till MG1, and then I'll try and join a stack. And so it never happened. I mean, in CS, before it got changed to CS2, I reached the rank right beneath Global.
Supreme.
I reached Supreme. I was always in between from DMG to Supreme, going up and down constantly, those ranks. Never quite reached Global. But I never translated it to Faceit. I ended CSGO with a level 1 Faceit account.
Damn.
But that MCL, because I played it in 2017 when I was a disaster. I went from level 3 down to level 1.
I mean, I can tell, like, you've improved a lot since then, for sure.
Oh yeah, as in now it's like, with 2,000 hours,
like, bro, in MPL, before it was to be, like, you were probably, like, the last pick in MPL
always.
And now it's like, yo, Mahaya's playing, like, I kind of want him on my team, bro. I don't really want him against me.
5-6 months ago when Train came out, we played on Train. And I had 2 live games in MPL where I don't know what happened. I just did really well on Train. I locked in for those Train games. But even this MCL was like, because I was grinding a lot CSGO in-game, but the rank, but in Faceit I still level 1. So the draft system really worked out well. Because I was level 1. I was the last draft for
like you were kind of the underdog.
Exactly.
For many.
And that team, like, I was level 1, but in reality I felt like I was playing like a level 4 at the time, a level 4, level 5. So the team kind of, it worked out well. And I had this running joke for the longest time where I went to like 9 or 10 tournaments. And not that I never won a series or a tournament. I never won a bloody map. Never won a map. I went to like 8 or 9 Counter-Strike tournaments without winning a map. I went to 3 or 4 Smash tournaments without winning a set. Not a series, a set. I still have never won a set in Smash. Now there's a charity tournament at the end of March. Fingers crossed.
I crossed mine as well.
So, This MCL was the first
MCL
time.
was great.
And
MCL,
like you're saying, 40 players. And just
Yeah.
out of no, and we're getting people who never touched CS. So we had like Marcos, who never touched CS, wanted to get
Peshel,
involved.
yeah.
Peshel, who never got. There's
We-
a clutch in our game against Peshel's team, and it was Rich Me versus, and that's like the funniest clutch ever. The voice comes like, oh, it's the funniest thing ever. I loved that tournament. And MCL was so
MCL
good.
was good, and the first, this was like obviously Malta Counter-Strike League. It was an actual league. We
Yeah,
like
like casters and
yeah,
streaming
no,
and
no, it
everything.
was
custom
good.
HUD. It was done really well.
Tefrite was really helping us with the casting there, and yeah, with the MCL we just kind of were thinking, okay, we have a bunch of players playing actively. Let's have a tournament for them. Let's have something ongoing every Monday or every Wednesday, ongoing every week. And obviously, as you mentioned, the level of Counter-Strike players locally, it's not really that high.
Yeah.
And the draft system was really, it's perfect for the Maltese scene. It's perfect for anything that's Maltese related, because you're getting players which are playing the game like not as competitively. They're playing casually. They're not spending all the hours, and it's like the best example I could make is when you play like a five-a-side of football with friends. You're always trying to balance the team so everyone has fun. And this was the same concept for the MCL. And I mean, from my experience as the captain and level 10 of the team, I enjoyed it. You know, what I didn't enjoy mainly, like the main drawbacks, was people coming late to the games.
All right. It depends the team you get then, right?
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, you're the one kind of drafting the tournament. Drafting the team. And if your team ends up being bad, I mean, unlucky, but kind of you're the one picking them, which is... And then we had an issue where the level 10 captains didn't want to be captains because obviously...
They're carrying the team and doing all the work.
Yeah, and then it kind of slowly degraded to the point where no one wanted to play that was level 10 in the drafts. If it was draft, we'd get like maybe 2 level 10s involved. And obviously that would not really be the best experience for anyone, because you would have a bunch of teams which are not really balanced and not really fun. And in fact, we only had one really good league where we had other people active players. But then the second one, we really fumbled the bag there.
I think it took too long to come the second.
I think the issue was, so we had the MCL one, which was March till May. Yeah. So that finished. And then we took a long break because everyone was tired of playing games every week.
Yeah.
And then after that, we noticed like Counter-Strike's probably releasing somewhere in October. And we were like...
CS2, we're saying.
Yeah, CS2. Finished in May. We hosted like a couple more tournaments throughout till October. But it was mainly like a really long break period for everyone. And then October came, the game released.
In alpha.
And
I'll say an alpha.
I mean,
it was a public
it was an
beta,
unfinished
but-
version of the game, which they just said, "Here, guys, we released it," but it was unfinished. And people at first glance really did not enjoy it. And people's first impression until this day is like CS is bad at the moment.
I still think that it's in a very bad state.
It's not
over a year
polished,
later.
but
Not
it's
at
good.
all.
You can play it.
You can play it, but it's really taxing on your PC compared to CSGO.
Yes,
and I
yes.
hate that because CSGO was really smooth. CS2, it's like you're wearing like weighted boots,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
restrictive. It's restrictive.
And due to this first impression of the game, people didn't want to take part in the second MCL, because our original plan was to be like MCL 1, then MCL 2, then Counter-Strike 2 releases, and then we do another MCL league. That's just us thinking forward, and yeah, it didn't really work out that way. And we were kind of lenient on people having their own schedules, so we wouldn't really enforce the games to play on Monday or Wednesday. We would tell them, yo, you have all the time in the week, you have to sort out a time and you can play. But then it's like you're giving too much freedom to the players, because this time I have a dinner, and then this time I have like a five-a-side and I can't play, and you would never get 10 people on a server.
Sure.
Everyone's unavailable, and like the league went from supposedly November to December, it went on to like end of January. It was really, really
I
bad.
remember the final match.
Bro, we had some games, there were 3 games in one night. Like, it was that bad. Yeah, it was not really ideal for our caster as well, Tefrite, which was making a lot of sacrifices to help us.
Shout out to Tefrite. I remember
He
when
carried,
he started
like-
casting at the very beginning of MCL1. I was like, oh, here is like something. So he didn't play Counter-Strike, so he didn't fundamentally understand certain things, I'd say. And I was like, man, but by now he's like improved so much and so rapidly.
Yeah.
And he has that like casting sort of voice,
Like
and
the
that sort
persona
of persona,
entirely, yeah.
exactly. You know, I'm doing casting, and it's like it's really
You're a
a
good
lot
caster,
harder.
to be fair.
I have to get more hype.
We like you at
I have
least.
to, thank you. I have to get more hype, I feel. Sometimes I find it
But
like,
to be fair, that's not all on you. Like we don't really bring hype to the games.
when I'm doing it with Snipes, though, which is the British caster, though, I find it easier because I feel like he brings.
You can bounce off him as well.
That's always the case, and that's
I
why
think it's always easier
that's why
when
David's here for Bread for Toast.
Exactly, even
You
though
know, I need somebody to bounce off from time to time.
sometimes.
No, it's one because Anki, when I'm casting and I finish saying something, and then the other team takes a tech pause, you know, a tech pause, and like I just finish saying something, and then I just leave it like quiet for 10 seconds because I feel like even if you're constantly on the go as well, silence is necessary from time to time. If it's freeze time, you know, I'll say like, oh, we have a pause here, you know, wait, and then I'll be quiet during that pause, and or I'll then open the scoreboard if the pause is taking a really long time, but it's not that easy. So big respect to Tef, right? And
It's definitely not easy, but he really, really helped us. Because at least when I was younger, maybe 17, 18, being on broadcast, it's like, oh my god, I'm being,
great.
I'm being
Great.
streamed, and everyone's like watching me, you know, and it's a really nice experience. And for those that maybe didn't play the game that much, you know, they had a bit of spotlight throughout the week. Which they could show to their friends or whatever.
I used to send it to the group, just like, guys, we're playing tonight. Go watch it. And I used to have like 4 or 5 friends.
We had a lot of viewership.
Not a great
like
viewership.
30 plus,
It had
like
great
almost
viewership.
every night.
And Tefright was a great caster.
Yeah,
he had good vibes.
And
well,
people
so
were kind of, because the way it worked was you played each team twice, right?
The first time was once.
Oh, so you played each team. It was round robin.
Because the second time was best of 1. The first time was a best of 3. So the series were long.
Yeah,
you know, you had like 3 hours constant lapses.
So it was really tense because you would see the leaderboard now, and there you're like, what was your team? Remind me.
Mercenaries.
Yeah, you see Mercenaries going up at the top.
And Venom right behind.
And Venom was right behind. It was Crixus' team, I think.
That league was amazing because our team, Mercenaries, ended up winning it. We had to win every single match because Venom were right behind
They only
us.
lost one, it was to you, I think.
You guys, Venom only lost to us. And that match, that went to map 3. Like, they kicked our ass on our map pick because we picked Nuke and they kicked our ass like 16-5. That's bad. Then we took a Vertigo, we won it like 16. No, then we won Inferno. Like, we never lost Inferno throughout the entire MCL. We won MCL on Inferno. And I loved Inferno. And now then CS2, they're like, oh, remake, let's ruin it. And I hate Inferno now. And I remember that Vertigo against Venom, it was really tense. I was having a shit game. And I ended that game really badly. And we had Rich Me on our team. And Rich Me, like, shout out to him. He really set up the team in a way where he wasn't going to be. Obviously, he was the star.
He was born for the draft system.
He was born for the draft system. Obviously, he was the star just because he was level 10 and he's goated at the game. But he played in such a way and set up the team in such a way that other players would have a chance to shine. And he was like watching demos and coming up with the strats. And we used to practice like 3 times a week. We used to come up with the execute.
That's great because
and show us.
For the other teams, no one practiced.
No.
And like it was like well deserved because you guys really put in the time.
And Hasha,
it goes to show anyone could do
and we used to go on his server with custom like the configs and everything. And I remember though this Vertigo game. It was like a 3v1. We're 3 and there's 1 and this like close. I think it was like 14-13 at this point. And it was A back when A was still closed. And he planted default and he was hiding in short A, the elbow area. You know, Pachuch, I throw a smoke there. And so he obviously knows the lineup because it's Crixus left. So Crixus knows the lineup. And they're trying to defuse and they cannot because he's just swinging and getting the kills. And Rich Me is a very emotional player though. If you lose a map,
passionate.
Passionate, that's a better word. If you lose a map and he's in a bad mood, he's gonna play badly.
Yeah.
And that goes back as well to, and then we lost that round. Like I didn't dare say anything in and he was like so, but we won the game, so all depends on. But like another example was against you guys, Bionic. We won map 1 quite easily. Map 2, that Anubis.
I don't remember. That Anubis was crazy. crazy.
That was crazy.
It was me and I think Rich me at the top of the scoreboard, both at like 30 kills.
You were like balling, and I remember like I was hitting some plays that Anubis as well. Like fucking my internet cut twice. Thank you, go. But like it was like me. I remember and Mega and a 2v1 against you. And when I said 2v1 and Zelion's the last guy left, it's basically like you're still min taħt. And I remember I hit this like flick to go into triple overtime and then triple overtime, which our team eventually lost and you guys won to force Inferno. I was in a 2v1 and I was the one and I got a kill, so I made the 1v1 and it was you left. But I sort of was like, okay, 1v1, so for whatever reason, you were like playing the most ret angle ever, and I remember I got so tilted because then you just got
on
Anubis, and you just shot me somewhere in mid. I was like, why is he Temple? And I remember I was tilted, but I was not as tilted as Richmond. And we went into the last map so demotivated. Like Richmond was like, no, we've lost, there's nothing we can do, it's over, and so on. And then I was like, okay, let's try, let's A and Provao. But he didn't want. He was like completely
full mental.
Yeah. But then we started winning. We lost the pistol on Inferno, and that was really, but then we won like I think a force or the first gun round, and we started stringing rounds together. And then like round 7 or 8, like Richmond even knifed you, and I was like in VC, it's like 1 in the morning. I'm going crazy in VC to hype.
It was late at that game.
Oh, it was late, but I miss these.
But yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, I'm really happy to hear that you've enjoyed it.
The draft system, I can tell you, as somebody who was not a level 10, like a mid player, that to me I was like, okay, I have a chance though, because it's not me against all level 10s. As someone who always went with like a level 5 team or a level 4 team and always played against level 10s and got destroyed, that was great, the draft system.
It's tough though, like people again at the higher levels.
I don't blame level 10s.
It's very hard to keep them motivated to play it because they join the game and then they're playing with a guy with a really bad mic, for example. Or a guy that's not really playing the game, so he doesn't know the call out.
Or attempt to smoke City on Mirage, he doesn't know the City smoke or Mirage.
It's really tough. But I can imagine for the like lower level players, like for example Pesce and Marcos, which only had like maybe 10 hours on the game, it was like a really good insight into what esports and competitive gaming is. So you kind of have to see it from both sides and be like, okay, it was good, but maybe it won't work all the time. And in fact, MCL2 was it was something. It was bad. Like people weren't communicating well on finding times for the league, and it basically like drew everyone away from MCL. The scene kind of dipped down a bit again, and then I can't remember. We kept trying to organize tournaments. Maybe we'd have 2, 3, 4 teams.
Yeah.
But it was never like at the peak number.
No, they were all online, I think, as well.
And we were mostly online. Then we tried having a LAN, and we didn't have enough registrations. It was just a lot of back and forth, and then. Yeah, and then to fast forward a bit to the 2023 PlayCon.
2023 or 24?
2023, we had PlayCon, which I played in, actually. So with the success of MCL1, then CS2 came out. Exactly then there was PlayCon in November.
Okay.
So like a month or something after CS2 launched, we had the MCL PlayCon, which I played in. It was draft as well. We had like an online tournament before that. It was 4 teams. It was me against Crixus team. We were Team Redline and they were, I can't remember, but yeah, we actually won it. It was a fun tournament. I actually think I had the better team. Like I had Keith on my team.
Okay.
But we did have like some old guard player. I can't remember his name right now. Maybe Matthew. I get his name. But he was like the opera on our team and he played well in that LAN. He was
like, still got it.
Bro, he's 40 something, bro. Like
he's
OG.
Damn.
And we had Cavallo, which I used to play Warzone with, so it was kind of players I'm kind of familiar with, some old guard, some new player, and we won that one. And MCL that year was really good for PlayCon, for at least me. But obviously, after we won, I'm not sure what happened. Like,
does the MCL2 I didn't really...
No. Like at MCL PlayCon itself, that one where we won, some PlayCon staff like decided when they went to eat or something. And we had to wait after winning, after celebrating with each other. We had to wait 10-15 minutes on stage for the trophies and for the announcement and for the lights to switch or whatever. And yeah, that was like you win, but you're kind of already bored from the win and you're stuck on stage. You can't really pack. It was hard at this for after the fact. But then after that, I had to cast Rocket League or something. It was Yeah.
I'm going to do another
yeah,
pause.
yeah.
Remember the song that XO said? I was listening to it recently. Follow you.
PTSD.
Oh my god, it was on loop, man. The like playlists.
was so
They
bad.
got like custom songs for this tournament, and there were so many tech pods that they were just on loop constantly. So it's like it was like the silver scrapes of Maltese CS. Oh yeah, let's go back a bit to PlayCon about how we said there was this one at 2023, but MCL2. And then there were the teams, you couldn't get enough teams to register. I remember, dejjem nitfa, whenever there's a CS announcement,
Yeah,
dejjem
yeah.
nitfa, LFT. Actually, I don't have 4 people who play
Yeah.
Counter. I'm telling
Unfortunately,
you,
you're one of the few that actually want to actually set up a team.
there's no
and
interest,
you're
there's
like
no
out
interest.
there.
Let me say this in a way that I don't have to bleep it out of the episode. There is a team that around, they'll know who they know who they are, these people. They won a recent, because now like a month ago there was a LAN, it was a 1-day thing, and they won it. And like, okay, Mila, and they were talking then with each other and they said, okay, we want to set up a team. So they said, okay, we're doing it. They've got the players supposed, and they made the announcement that they've started the team. I was going to make an article for Esports Malta to say, oh, this team is back after a couple of years of hiatus or so on. Before I could finish the article, the team captain messaged me and was like, Isma, tifax il-players għalissa għax għanna problemi. And I was like, it's the history of CS in Malta. Like, you literally won a tournament, you made an announcement, and you haven't gotten the players like locked in, and you don't have a roster already. And that's such the history of esports in Malta, and this of CS in particular. And it's such a headache.
It's another esports, not for sure. At least, for example, I could say positively from what I know. Like for example, the Rocket League scene. It's quite healthy. Like
yes.
People swap around. Maybe this team doesn't work, but then they go to the next one. They're not, from what I know, they're not that toxic. They're quite tight-knit.
There's lots of scenes that are super tight-knit in Malta that unless you get involved, you won't know a lot about. For example, the Smash scene in Malta is really active.
I know nothing about it.
It's actually really not as active as they used to be a few years ago, but it's really active. And in fact, like due to the inactivity, like the best Smash player who wins everything in Malta is now taking part in Tekken. He's good. He's like top 10 now almost, after a year. That's crazy.
And he's really good at Tekken.
He's really good at Tekken. And they're different games. I was discussing this with David coincidentally like a week ago. Not even a week ago, like a few days ago. Because I was speaking to this guy, the Data Smash, his username is Weather Report. I was speaking to him at the Esports Awards. And he was like telling me to join for the charity tournament and so on. And I was talking to David about this whole content in semi. I was like, he takes part in Tekken as well. Because when I was doing an article for the first season of the City of Fighters, they were still Tekken City back then. When they had season 1 last year, he came 5th, which is like, this guy just started competing in Tekken, and he came, which is, so he just is good at fighting games. But then like in Smash, it's really active. Rocket League, like you're saying, is really active. Not esports as such, but TCG, super active in Malta.
Yes.
Let me go back to maybe esports. Naeem, Nerf Ganon in Pokemon. He's really good. And that's like, because calling it an esport, maybe it's not considered a traditional esport, but it's still a video game that he's competing in. So technically it is an esport. Tekken is super active. So
I mean, bro, they're considering chess as an esport now. So
Magnus Carlsen just signed for Liquid. That's crazy.
I love how in the last few years sports and esports are kind of blending in, because I mean I've had this.
The Mongols
I've had a similar interview like this.
Got signed as national athletes of Mongolia. So the government now sponsors
it recognizes them as athletes,
and they get, because of that, since they recognize as athletes, they have a lot more visa-free issues now. So they can, and I think more countries should follow suit. I know that Sweden absolutely don't, or they didn't until a few years ago. Because when the international in 2020 was slated to take part in Sweden, and there was COVID, Sweden said absolutely not. And sports events had restarted, but they said we don't consider esports players as athletes, and we don't consider this as a sporting event. So when we say sports, when I say esports is sports, I mean from a discipline sense, and from I don't compare a footballer to a Counter-Strike player.
Even the viewership, like it's not there.
No, not at all.
I had a similar interview a few weeks ago. Like people consider darts and golf sorry, not golf, darts a sport.
And golf is considered a sport.
Yeah, but in terms of like the physical build you need to have and stuff.
Like some of these people who play darts.
Bro, I mean, okay, anyone who doesn't know, hasn't seen darts, go on YouTube, type darts highlights, and you'll get what I'm saying. Like, the people there, they don't go to the gym every day.
And there's like sold out venues of people.
Yeah, no,
darts
has its own sport. But if that's considered a sport, then why is esports not? You know?
Exactly.
They're not really running here, lapping. You know, they're not sprinting to the podium.
And even like it's like pool.
Yeah,
Pool is really respected as a sort, and Maltese pool players do really well.
Yeah.
But like, it's not a sport. I mean, it is a sport. It's not a physical
engaging sport.
Exactly.
But as a discipline, like you're saying, it should be required.
Like, let's go back to darts, because I like that example. There is this thing, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a sort of injury. It's a mental injury that darts players have. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I know it.
They get the inability.
I don't know if it's called dartitis.
It might be called dartitis, where they have the inability to perform anymore, to let go of the dart. They get a mental block where they just cannot let go of the dart. And there have been some good dart players that have either had to go on hiatus to recover or else have had to stop. And to me, like, people take it so seriously. Who's to say esports is not the same? You used to be a really good AWPer, and now you're just not hitting your shots anymore. And in esports, it's even more different. Because you start use your Valve, or you do like, we're changing the op, which has happened. You use your Valve and say, okay, now the MP9, if you're like a really good CT player, they change the MP9. And now all of a sudden, you know, you have to try and go back on the M4s and maybe, you know, against AKs, mid-range.
I mean,
you know,
esports, what esports has that sports doesn't, is the ever-evolving change in the meta, in every esport. Like, CS maybe is always staying the same, but like there are some minuscule changes that happen here and there. In sports, it does happen as well with, for example, the offside rule. It's like they're planning to change it. But in esports, it's way more common. So
yes, I mean, in football, there was a new rule yesterday. That goalkeepers, if they hold the ball for 8 seconds, the opposing team gets a corner.
I like that rule.
From next season, it's going to happen. It was already happening in Malta. They were test running it in Malta. But now they're implementing it globally. So Arteta, Dark Arts, I'm afraid, are going to suffer a bit from that. Everton are going to suffer a lot from that, you know. Aston Villa, these teams are all going to suffer. So... but with Counter, and you said it doesn't change that much. I think to us it doesn't change that much because we're constantly involved. If for example, if I look at the league meta, I don't understand league at all. I'm sure in like the past 5 years, it's changed a lot.
It has never changed as much as it has in the past like 2 years.
League?
Yeah, league. Like if you compare the 7 years ago, right? In that 7 years ago, the 5 years. It changed a bit, like with the meta, they had like cones and stuff, and with the dragons. But now, like they changed the map. They made it like mirrored kind of the map now. They've implemented so much stuff now.
Fair.
Yeah, they're changing it a lot. Like they changed the turrets as well now. Like they're doing a lot of changes.
Because they have the new CEO as well. So he's not been too popular.
I mean, I don't mind change, to be honest, but. You kind of
in moderation.
In moderation as well, but you're losing the casual players as well. The people that after work they hop on, they play with their friends.
If they log in or they see a completely different map or there's mechanics they don't understand, it's gonna throw them off.
Bro. And they're not gonna spend the time. Oh, there's this new character. Ooh, what does the Q do? What does the W do? It's too much work.
They want to play their comfort.
But then that's where the esports like CS and Rocket League, which inherently have the same concept through and through, will always be like the mainstay for those casual players, which is why I think CS has been alive for so many years.
One of the things I always tell my friends and other players why I prefer Counter-Strike to shooters like Val in particular, because we can't really compare Counter-Strike and Overwatch, but we can compare Counter-Strike and Valorant. And my main issue with Valorant is that you are so restricted by the agent you pick, and the game is so dictated by the agents that are picked. In Counter-Strike, I love the fact that if I decide I'm picking up the AWP this round, I'm the AWPer all of a sudden. If I have an SMG, I can play entry. If I have the rifle, I can, there is nothing restricting you apart from yourself. Because technically, I can buy a Desert Eagle and go mid, And in Val, okay, you buy the Sheriff, but then like if you have Jet with her ability and she dashes straight into you. You can't counter that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say I never thought of the limitations, to be honest, but it does make sense. I mean, in CS, you do have roles. Obviously, you
Yeah,
have
of
the AWP role,
course.
you have the anchor role, and whatever.
But you can swap them on the
But
fly.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing
if something's not
restricted.
working, you can just switch. In
If you're
Valorant,
locked in
once
as
you
a
lock in,
duelist
And
on
the thing,
Val,
the
you're
thing
a
with
duelist.
Val is like the agents inherently have a specific place
Role,
how you
exactly.
should play.
yeah.
So
It's like you're not
gonna be
go-
Omen or Brimstone doing the smokes
Exactly.
and entering. Like, it doesn't make sense.
And you're not gonna be Cypher and pushing. You're gonna play Lurk as Cypher,
Exactly.
you know, and you're gonna play really passive, you know, and don't Cypher on the attacking side is such a nightmare to play as well, and so on. So it's so restricted. It's yes, I love the fact that you can just change. Oh,
It's good, yeah.
guys, you know, I'm not feeling the op today. Give me the rifle. If you've picked Chamber
Yeah.
on Val, what you're not gonna use your
There's no
alt.
restarts, there's no
You know,
backseat.
you're not gonna use your alt. It's like it's such a big thing, and even that with the orbs, I hate the thing of the orbs in Val. You know, if get an alt point per kill and leave it at the orbs, I can't stand. But that's just me not being a big Val fan. That's why I think CS is peak. I think even for viewers, that's why it's so enjoyable. If you go to watch League and you've never played League and you're not involved, I'll be honest, I have no idea what the hell happens in League or in Dota.
But I play the game, I watch it. Like, for example, tonight there's the LEC Grand Finals. I mean, if you see a team fight, bro, you're gonna be lost. Like, I play the game, I know what each character does, but inherently, like, you don't really notice things happening. You're oh, this guy's headbutt is going low, and then
But then
you
with
know?
CS, it's just even if you've never played, it's so easy to pick up and grab.
CS is a very easy game to
Exactly.
just
Like, you might not understand, for example, that the T's get no money if they save. So
Yes,
if you
yes.
pass a comment, oh, you shouldn't have saved there, or don't die after time. A
Yeah.
casual player or a casual viewer might not understand. If the bomb plant loss bonus and things like that,
I
they might
think
not.
it's just that I had this argument yesterday with my barber, coincidentally, because I didn't know he played Counter Strike. But we were basically saying like how Counter Strike is a really complete game
Yeah.
because it's a very easy concept, but also hard to master. And
It's timeless.
It's really like the entire concept of having the terrorists, the counter terrorists, and I love that we kept those names despite
Yeah.
you know the
They wanted
sponsorships.
attacker and defender.
Yeah,
But it's core to
Um,
Counter Strike.
it's if they change it, the Counter Strike's identity is lost.
We've already lost so many factions.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on Twitter recently, the original founder of Counter Strike, Gooseman,
Yeah,
they were asking him, are we gonna get the factions
Phoenix
back?
and whatever. Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I think Valve, because he's not involved." I said, "I'm sure they're just reworking the models." I don't think that's the case. I think they
think
make
he's
too
being
much
very
money
hopeful.
for agent skins.
To be honest, I don't mind that it's because basically in CS at the moment it's just one model.
Yeah.
Like that you have a city and there's one other model.
The
on
SAS and the Phoenix crew, and that's it.
Yeah, and I don't mind that it's the same, but it obviously loses some identity like that. For example, Train I really used to love because you have the brown suited T side.
Yeah.
Like you would see, like obviously your POV is like this, and you would see the sleeve kind of
Exactly.
popping out, and it was it made maps more, I don't know, like
Personal,
unique.
and
kind
had more
of.
character. Like Inferno had the like French terrorists, like
Yes,
the
Inferno's
funny
the easiest
balaclavas, and
And so many memes come out of that.
oh, so many. Like the cosplayers going as those
Yes,
characters.
yes.
They're not in the game anymore. And you had the GIGN, which are not anymore. And maybe the only one I can sort of see that they remove is the IDF from Dust 2 because of current political tensions.
But even like the nuke models were really good as well.
yeah, did they
They
is
were-
it SAS on Nuke now?
They're
is
all
it
the same.
FBI?
They're all the same.
That's so stupid. It's
But-
SAS on
and what's
every map.
ironic is they have the models that you can buy from cases or whatever still available, so you could switch. Avolia, due to competitive integrity, everyone uses the same. model.
Exactly. The
Because
agent
some models
skins
you can
aren't
get an
allowed
advantage.
during
Exactly.
tournaments. Yeah, it's in a state right now, CS, where I enjoy playing it, but Valve really do need to help it.
Yeah.
And the fact that instead of an operation they did the armory pass and so on, I hate it.
There's a lot of things they could improve. I think like they're really focusing on the wrong things. For example, now CS has been it's been quite a while since we had an update.
Yeah,
And they're obviously just gonna be like, oh, here's a new case, blah blah blah. And the new they added these charms like on the guns, like Rainbow Six Siege. Like, bro, we don't really want that. We want our game to be good.
Exactly.
And for example, recently ESL, which is a tournament organizer, they put out a video about the community browser, the Counter-Strike community browser. And
or
before,
what's left of it.
yeah, I mean, before you would just, it's like going on a game mode and you would click it and you would have an entire server list of like KZ, which is like
Anything,
a movement type, B-hop.
Surf,
There were so many different types of game
warm-ups,
modes.
everything.
And now it's been very lackluster. Like the entire experience is not really fun. Even for deathmatch, you now have to go on like a Cybershock or an X-Play or you need to just find a website that has a server, and before you could just go boom on the computer browser, type DM or
Or
FFA,
warm up or whatever.
and you would find the server that you want. But now it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just the casual side of CS is truly, completely through that, and they completely cut it out.
It's been over a year since CS2 came out. It's been almost 2 years. And Surf is still completely broken unless you use a plugin. And even then, it's not perfect. And they cut so much content. We lost Flying Scouts, man. We lost
Danger
retakes.
Zone.
We lost Danger Zone. We lost so many things. And the problem is, because you can't even say, oh, because MSIC and Valve. One, Valve are a multi-billion-dollar company.
MSIC and
so
shit.
employees should never be an issue, manpower or funding. But also, even they could literally tell the community, and most of the stuff that's done is done for free by the community. You could literally tell them.
That's actually a very important thing to mention, because the skins themselves and the recent maps that are being pushed on the workshop, the community is doing them.
Anubis
Like Cash
was
Cash
completely
is
made by the
FM
community.
owns the map. It's not Valve. Like Valve owned the rights to it, but
Same with
he was
Anubis.
the one that edits it.
Same with Anubis was made and play tested and was super popular by a third party. Then Valve bought it, and now Valve.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the map editor like got his pay, but you know, he's the one ultimately making the changes, not Valve. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
Same
I mean,
Danger Zone. They made 2 maps.
bro,
Everything
Valve
else was
do
community.
nothing. Honestly, they do nothing. They even in terms of testing the game, they don't test it. Remember, like a few months
Every
ago,
update's so broken.
a few months ago, there was a bug where if you kill someone, the ragdoll would just fly off.
That was
You know,
super
it's
recent.
not supposed to happen.
And going back to the launch of CS2, we had the Michael Jackson peak,
Oh, the Michael Jackson.
where the
peak,
player model
yeah.
would stretch instead of moving, so they would like it's so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, Valve don't really do. They're not making the right changes.
No.
They are listening to the community in terms of, for example, you find a bug, you send them an email, and then they fix it.
That they do. That's
Like,
fair.
that
enough,
they
but
do. Like when it
there's
comes to
no
bug fixes,
content,
they're
man.
good.
There's no content.
But the content side of things, they're not really listening. But
If you don't play CS competitively, I don't think as a casual there's a lot to play for, because I'm someone who loves to be in a stack, taking it seriously. We all have our stuff. I haven't had that in years. Playing solo queue, because I only solo queue. I don't have friends who play. I have a friend who plays CS who's 200 hours. So when I play with him, we can't even play Premier together.
Yeah.
We have to play competitive, and like he unironically buys the Negev and R8, so I cannot take it seriously when I'm
Yeah,
playing
of course.
with him. And I think it would be a bit lame to take it seriously as well. But when I play, I want to do well. Obviously, when you play, you want to win. You can have fun and lose, but ideally, at least
Yeah,
I
ideally
always
you're
want
always
to win.
winning,
No.
right?
And I really want that, where everyone has a role, everybody has to communicate, really everybody knows the call-outs and so on. But in its current state, unless you have that as well in CS, what is there really to play for? Premier is infested with cheaters. Face it. As a solo queuer, it's not fun at all.
Yeah.
And there's no casual game modes. They removed everything casual.
Yeah.
I remember when I played Operation Hydra. That was
Even
the
the
last good
operations,
operation. And then, in between Hydra and Shattered Web, I think there was 2 years, a year and a half. And I remember thinking, man, this wait is so long. It has been almost 3 years since the last Operation Riptide. So, and the current operations are not fun. The current operations are just battle
Bro,
passes.
people are waiting for an operation, but at the same time, like, do you really want to get like 10 kills in a casual?
That's the operation
Bro,
nowadays.
like
Back
a
then,
casual
there
game.
were those custom missions on the operation maps, and those were so fun.
Those are good. Those are
are
against
so
very against the bots, but some
And I
bots are
remember
good.
once, there was that custom map where it was like an adventure map basically in an operation where you go underground in this facility. That was back in CS:GO.
I know it.
Shattered Web, I think. Had
I
it.
think so, yeah.
And there was like a wooden version of B-side of Mirage and so on, and people were like theorizing that Mirage remake was coming. We still haven't had it.
Yeah.
I don't think they can ever remove Mirage from the map pool.
I think they can.
You think so? What would
think
they
they
put
can.
instead of it? Cash?
I think Cash is the best replacement for it, and I
But-
think they're waiting for it.
Let me give a really hot take here. I hate green cash. I hate Soviet era cash. Give me back cash.
I mean, the
before
white Cash is
remake.
better, but we'll never get that.
We'll
again,
never
I think.
get it back.
I mean, especially with the graphical updates that they did to the Source 2 engine. I've gone through the editor a bit, and it's quite more advanced than the old one. So, yeah, FMPone won't be shying away from making things look better.
Hammer, the software to make maps, was a complete nightmare.
Yeah, it was.
was
But now
okay.
it's more beginner friendly, I think.
I've never tried the new one.
There's a big learning curve to mapping. Mapping is something I've only done for like 1v1 maps. It's not really. I haven't done a full-fledged map because it takes so much time. You need to find so many details but
play
for 1v1
test.
maps, I have done a bit, and it's not too hard to get into. But again, it's the finer details when creating the map. Then you need to play test it. You need to make sure it takes time, a lot of time.
I had started with 1v1 maps on CS, and I just swapped to doing Gmod maps for me and my friends to have fun on. And once I found this map, and it was a really fun map, but it was full of bugs. And I remember I decompiled the map, and I just completely changed it and republished it with like a complete overhaul. And that's probably one of my favorite maps still. And that's something lost with games nowadays, I think, custom mapping. And it was something already lost in CSGO's time, much more like less than back in Source and CS 1.6. And now like who maps for CS?
Bro, coming to think of it, even Rocket League, when they were bought out, Psyonix, the creators were bought out by Epic, they took out the workshop as well. So there were custom maps where you could train and practice and whatever, and even have some other fun modes. That's completely gone now.
There were like the parkour maps.
Yeah, the parkour one. Yeah.
And they don't.
It's such a great part of like creating a community as well.
For casuals, right?
Yeah.
There are people who play Counter-Strike and never played competitive in their life. It's just surf, KZ, B-hop, just that. So
or like hide and seek, death run. There's so many game modes they completely killed with the community browser.
Like if you want to do that now, you have to go on Source. If you want to play death run or prison or whatever.
There's a lot of things they could do to improve it for sure. But
and they teased so much content with the actual officially, like Lake. That was on the first announcement of CS2. On the website, there's Lake. It's been 2 years and we don't have Lake in game yet. I'm not saying I'm dying waiting for Lake because I love Lake, but like it's content at least, Cobblestone. This current version of Cobblestone is a disaster. Bring back old Cobblestone.
It's not even there. Like they tease that
in the game.
It's in the game file somewhere, but it's not really finished. I mean,
you can't play it.
I lost hope that Cobblestone would ever return. My favorite map, but
I loved Cobblestone. That was like a Virtus Pro classic. Cobblestone.
Bro,
Cobblestone when A site was actually in the corner rather than in the middle.
Yeah.
And when B site had the opening. Classic. when it wasn't with this super bright sky, it wasn't nighttime either. Bring back Cobblestone.
Yeah, old Cobblestone was good. Maybe listen to the podcast maybe.
Valve. I send it straight to Valve. They're gonna sit to 2 hours of Maltese Counter-Strike.
You should add them on Twitter.
Yes, we don't use Twitter, but now just for that I'll post it at Valve. But to go back maybe to MCL, the end, I guess, PlayCon 2024. So we also start sort of wrapping up here. I know you have a league tournament today.
Yeah, but
it's later. So.
Yeah, it's fine.
And but even we don't have a 2-hour episode. I don't mind, honestly. Honestly, I would love that, but for the listeners' sake, sometimes when we post,
they're probably bored of CS.
Yeah, when we post like a 45-minute episode, I have feedback where they're like, I had to split it in like 2 or 3 parts to
which is wild. For 45 minutes to
because they don't normally listen to podcasts, but they do the effort for Bread for Toast. So
I don't know, man. It's wild to not be able to sit through 45 minutes of something.
In the topic,
Bro, I've watched like 2-hour videos about games I don't care about.
You don't even listen to Bread for Toast back. You cannot comment on this.
I let it play in the background.
Muted.
I don't like listening to my voice back.
He doesn't take care of the equipment. He doesn't edit. He doesn't manage the
I think this is something we mention every single episode. I'm just here.
He's just here. I wouldn't do it without him. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So MCL 2020, I actually took part in this one.
Yes.
And this was crazy because I was in Austria when I took part. So there was MCL and I didn't know. So this one now in hindsight, it was the last MCL tournament. Once that ended, you made the announcement. Liesma, it's a lot of effort. And I mean, maybe you will expand a bit on why the decision was taken exactly. But from what I gathered, there's not enough interest. I think
The,
locally.
the scene slowly died. We were only hosting events for like a couple of players, which ultimately is not even worth
No.
like it's not even worth anyone's time, because even the prize pools themselves aren't funded, through a sponsor. It's through entry fees. So people are spending their own money playing.
To get their own
Like
money.
they're not even there for the experience. There's no experience to enjoy. Like the MCL PlayCon 2024, we actually put in a lot of effort into the broadcasting side and to make it an actual show. Like we really we had a script going on, and we were communicating with GMR, the host of PlayCon. I mean, I think the end product, despite issues like delays, we had a lot of problems. If I go through it, it'll be a long while. But ultimately, the players enjoyed it, and that's what I enjoy. Like seeing people enjoy the game I love, and having a great experience, so that one day they can look back on it.
And that was, I think, like a sort of sign, though, that there is still space for CS in
is.
Malta, because that
There
was
is.
not the draft. That was pre-made teams.
That was full pre-made. Yeah.
Oh, there was 2 level 10 teams, and then there was like 2 level 6 teams, and I was
Yeah.
on one of the level 6 teams, and we went for this tournament. I met 3 out of the 5 players on that team for the first time, for the first match against the Eversio mix. But like, it wasn't a complete wipeout. I think we lost to Eversio like 13-6 or 13-7. So, okay, it's a what's the word? It's like,
I mean,
it
the
was never
scoring
in
is fine.
doubt. It was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
in
yeah.
doubt that Eversio would win. But it wasn't a complete drumming. It wasn't 13-1.
I mean, the level of Counter-Strike, I think, for the good players, it depleted. But for the players that maybe were not so good, has really risen. So it's kind of balanced now. If you really
Yeah.
like, if we were to have a tournament, and so hopefully soon there will be. I think the tournament result is very unexpected, to be honest.
And like, even because from the tournament, then we won the next game quite heavily. We beat them like 13-5, I think. And for me, that's like crazy winning that match. Because to me, like, I spent 5 years not winning a map.
That's
so just
crazy,
winning
yeah.
a map without any practice, just pure, game. And then
And it boosts your confidence.
it
as
does
well,
boost, and it makes you want to play more. And then we came against the Versio again, and then we lost again 13-7, I think. But again, not a blowout. And it begs the question, if we had practiced, because the mix of a Versio, it was Bungie and Stekeli, and I don't really remember the others. I think Keith
Bungie,
was there.
Stekeli, KD4.
The guy with the Zuko
Stekeli,
profile
of
picture.
course.
I forgot who his name is. The guy whose his team profile picture is Zuko from Avatar. I forgot his username. He
Not
was there
Keith.
though. He was there. Was it Keith?
Keith, KD4, Bungie, Stekeli, and bro, I can't remember.
Amongst them all.
But yeah,
They were best of ones, and then the final was the best of 3. I was rooting for Eversio there then, because the other team were all foreigners, and I was like, I want the Maltese
Yeah,
team
yeah,
to
yeah.
win. I want the Maltese team to win. So
and what's funny about the tournament is like, I don't mind the cosplay community, right? But they had the better slot for PlayCon, which is the 4 p.m. slot. And I was begging the organizers to have that slot, and they didn't want to give it to us because they knew the community for cosplay is like bigger, and
it's really
they would
big
get
in
more
Malta.
people.
It's surprisingly
But it's
big.
It
kind
is
of
surprisingly big, yeah?
It
I didn't
is.
know it was that big.
But our tournament took so long with delays. It kind of made the cosplayers angry because we kind of took their slot. Like we were
Yeah.
4:30 p.m. still on the third map, man. Like it
and they
was-
were sitting in the stands watching.
And we actually had people watching Counter-Strike, so it was like my dream of
It worked out
having
well, it worked
an
out
MCL PlayCon with a crowd. Because when we won it, the MCL PlayCon, there were like 10 people. 5 of them were my family. Bro,
Shout out though, eh?
bro, like it was. Yeah, we didn't really have a spectator show because we had done the 10 a.m. slot, which is horrible. And yeah, at least for this one, the MCL PlayCon 24, we had people watching, and yeah, it worked
It was
out.
good. And unfortunately, after that, MCL have, for the time being, stopped.
Yeah.
However, now there was a Counter-Strike tournament a month ago in Malta, and there were 4 teams, even though it was just a one-day thing, and they just was done.
Yeah.
There's going to be another one very soon, where hopefully there will be 5 or 6 teams.
16, yeah.
And even that last one, you went with a Versio, obviously just for fun, you didn't practice, so on. But a different team won, and the other team wasn't all level 10s. So maybe as a encouragement, it's like, oh, you don't have to say any march back then, Tato or Versio. daqshekk m'għandniex ċans. And in this current state, I mean, you should have that encouragement to say, okay, obviously, first you're not practicing weekly or so on, and once you start doing that, I'm sure that it will then be a lot harder. But I think people should take this opportunity to sort of try and get some wins under their belt. And even with that, obviously, once you start playing and you start winning, like you said, it's confidence boosting. And even then you get like more teams to play because it's like how teams started playing CSGO. NIP was winning everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we don't want NIP to just win everything. So then teams started playing. And I think something like that has to happen. So hopefully...
I mean, I wouldn't even consider us the best in Malta. Like, we don't really compete locally at all.
There's no teams to practice.
We don't
right
practice.
There's no teams to practice.
Like, before I used to remember it was Project Version, then it was us, Iconic Cinco, and we wouldn't really practice, but we would play a lot together. So,
you have
despite not fully practicing, there is some chemistry going on. And I mean, it kind of died out now.
No, there's nothing of that anymore. Like you're saying, not even a verse will do that nowadays. So I think there is a vacuum that could really be filled. And then once a team takes that spot, I think a lot would want to.
There's a lot of people that play CSM, and like a lot of people that maybe are not familiar with our community, or
there's a lot of foreigners who live in Malta.
There's a lot of those, but even just Maltese people, there's a lot of people that play it. Maybe they don't want to take it seriously and compete, but they play it casually with friends. They hop in a premier game or a competitive game and they play. All right, we won, we go next. And I feel like we could do more as a community overall to like introduce them to the scene. And I mean, competing is fun. Vera, you might lose like 13-0 and like feel smashed. But I really find joy in having... Like, for example, today, I don't really play League like competitively, but I'm going there to meet the community and seeing the overall atmosphere connect together. And I think that should always be the main focus when it comes to tournaments. Because you're, realistically speaking, from 10 tournaments, you're never going to win each one.
No.
There's always going to be a tournament.
I didn't win a single map in 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's always a chance to improve to the next one. But if you give up and you're saying to yourself, like, I'm not going to spend, 4 hours every week playing this game because it's a waste of time.
Not winning a single map to winning MCL undefeated. It can just swap like because it's so much based on the mentality of the people in the team.
Yeah.
So,
and CS is a very big mental... Esports in general, but CS specifically is very mental driven.
Momentum based.
You can start like an eco round with just pistols, and if you're confident enough to have a strategy and have something laid out as a structure, you could win that eco, despite you being like 2% chance to win it.
Exactly.
It's all about confidence, and I feel like we could use a lot of that in Malta.
For sure. So to kind of culminate now with the esports awards, Amorosa, you obviously took part in lots of communities over the year, mainly Counter-Strike, but you helped with Splitgate, you helped with Marvel Rivals most recently. There was, I think at a point, Warzone and Multiverses and all these communities, and you're always sort of there pushing and trying to get people to play, especially with Counter-Strike. And there was the Maltese Esports Awards, and you were nominated for Outstanding Contribution to the Maltese Scene. Last time we had Jensen, who was also nominated. That was before the awards, right? You were obviously nominated. And in my opinion, quite deservedly, you won it. So congratulations there. Talk us through that, because I was discussing this award with some other people. And some, but some people, we were like sort of saying, it's so deserved that it goes to somebody like yourself, because there are lots of people who have been doing lots of things in the scene for a long time. We have obviously Level Academy, we have GMR, and we have Velocity, and they're doing a lot. But they do it from a business perspective. Obviously, there's a lot of passion, and many of these people, before there was the business, were doing it for absolutely no gain or financial gain, and just out of pure passion as well. But the awards came when they came, sort of in 2024, 2025, sort of so it's to give it to someone who really just puts blood, sweat, and tears into it, like yourself, like Jensen, I'd say like Addict Tekken, like Leon as well, does a lot of contribution. I'd say somebody like Kaneo does all of the graphics for the Tekken community. I think all of these people, and there's so many more, I can't even mention.
There are so many more that could have been nominated. I mean,
talk us through it.
yeah, that night I was really looking forward to not my award, not my nomination, just overall, just us as a community, like connecting on being appreciative of this talent that we have across the board. Anyone that was nominated is talented for something, and like I think everyone that won, like
Kellna
had-
wieħed ta' shooter play of the year, għanni ma nafx minnu.
I mean SXJ.
Le, mux li rebaħ, a nominee. The Chisk something, I have
Okay,
no
that
idea.
one maybe not so.
That one might have slipped
I'm sorry
through
if
the
you're
cracks.
watching it, Mr. I don't even know what his name was, but from what I know, is like he like racked up a lot of Warzone wins, so
Yeah, so did
he sent that as a
Joel.
nomination. And I think there were just like no nominations at all. I think like for example even the Adversary guys, Trevor and Stack, like they won the PlayCon, even Bungie, and they didn't get nominated. So I'm sure no one nominated them or they put in a nomination. So yeah, but that night I was really looking forward to just seeing the entire community connect together, and I was seeing like award through award. I'm meeting, obviously, I just entered, I'm meeting a lot of different people saying hello, hello, hello. And the event started, and I was really excited. Like, I didn't check my phone once, I was fully locked in on the event, and pretty good job overall
To the
to
production
everyone,
team,
to the
yeah.
production, everyone who took part.
Shout outs to the crew.
Shout out to the crew,
on the
yes,
sleeve
yes.
there, yeah.
Crew and
From behind the scenes, and also,
crew
of
here.
course, Gaming Malta for
Yes,
helping
yes.
and all of the sponsors.
Yeah, it was overall like really great event, and
I was surprised how many people came dressed smartly because the dress
True.
code was smart casual. And I said, okay, mela se jiġu jeans or polo shirt. But I said, I'm gonna go. So almost everybody was in a suit.
Bro, I was like, this is the first esports, but I need to wear a suit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it would be.
Well, many people did, which I
Yes,
agree. I
yes,
think
yes.
that should be the gist.
I think I
because it
did.
looks
I did
like
overdress a bit, but I was thinking, like for example, the HLTV awards. They always dress
Exactly,
up. Like,
that
really,
was what
really
I
good.
compared it to as
Yeah.
well. And I'd say always better to be overdressed and under.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I knew for esports Malta would be doing interviews as well, so
It
to
made
look at
sense.
it as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and then obviously the award started, and they were giving award to award, and I was really hyped for everyone. I pretty much know everyone that won, except for maybe SXJ, which I didn't know that much for the shooter category, which I was nominated for, but I don't know how. Yeah, it was a real joy seeing everyone like being appreciative of whoever it was, even if it was someone that didn't win, it was a nominee, but it was great. And yeah, then obviously the part where the contribution part comes through, and Max was going through the names one by one, and I was so nervous. I wanted anyone else on that list could have won it, and
But you still have that like butterflies with the hope. Like,
I
I'm on
kept
the
saying
list,
to myself,
so-
like, I can't win it. There's no way. There's no way. And then Evan Felletti, like director or of Gaming Malta, and when he says my name, I'm completely shocked. I didn't even clock in that he said my name, and I couldn't believe it. I walked out to the stage, and I'm still in disbelief looking at the award. Like, I mean, I did deserve it, yes, but at the same time, I don't know. There are so many others as well that I said this in an interview. I think maybe you put it in the article. There are so few that do so many, and I think it needs to change, because how long can one person keep doing
Do
things,
so many things, yeah.
for no financial gain, no nothing, and it takes so much of your time. I mean,
It's literally just passion. It's
bro,
just pure passion.
that's only it, and there's no funds that can help you like motivate yourself to continue organizing and stuff. And then, for example, you're organizing MCL, and you only notice that there are 4 participants, like players, not teams, and it honestly breaks your heart. Like,
Yeah, it's so
you're
demotivating.
trying to find the time. You're trying to organize this stuff, and so many things have to go through: the rules, the date, the format. You need to go through the tournament creation. You need to talk to people to find teams for them,
And they want to land, so you have to talk to
and then
organizers.
bro, it's a really big process. But I feel like, at least when I won it, I was like, I was really appreciative of everyone that was there, that was watching, because I mean, I've contributed to, as you mentioned, like multiple scenes. It was Rocket League and Counter-Strike and everything, and I feel like everyone there was like in supportive emotions towards me, I guess. And yeah, I don't know how I wasn't with tears during the speech, because if I went longer, I definitely would have. The award itself, I'm very, very appreciative of it, and as I said in our interview for Esports Malta, I really wish that next year it's not me that's winning it. I want someone else to step up and be like, yo, Zarion won it last year. I'm gonna contribute even more, so I help the community. And honestly, I would be so glad if someone actually won it. That's not me, because it shows that there are other people willing to put in the time and the passion and to contribute more, because there are so few of us that do
Basically everything.
basically everything. Like, I think what the biggest issue is, like, people don't know or are not aware of organizing and how to structure stuff. Honestly, you don't even need to organize. You could be someone that honestly goes on each esport tournament in Malta and drops a comment or a like that. You're already contributing to the scene.
And it helps so much. Xi drabi nitella post, esports Malta, taddi ġimgħa 2 likes.
Bro,
Jan Enzel. And it's like, man, why did I spend 3 hours writing this?
it is
then,
so
you know?
supportive of like seeing some sort of interaction with something you do. Even on the Counter-Strike Active Malta group, like I used to post all the time and no interaction at all.
And the thing is, people are seeing
And
it.
people see it.
Because
They
even
just don't.
when we talk
engage.
about this thing at Insemi Data Esports Malta, people come and tell me, I read your thing,
Yeah.
but then there's like absolutely no interaction. So to me, I'm just seeing like a void. Because obviously the view counter as well is so hit or miss. You can just keep refreshing the page for them to go up.
But my message to everyone would be like to
Engage with the
to engage with the community. Don't be afraid to even connect. Like, we're seeing a lot of people in the Kazin Discord now, like joining every day. And like, for example, like the Rainbow Six Siege scene is like kind of connecting again. I don't know how. I didn't even push into that, but people are playing together and like having stacks together to play competitive, and it's a joy to see, because I don't even play the game. I didn't have to push. We just created the Discord and they're connecting.
It's
and
the platform, and then
it's probably people that don't even know each other, and they're connecting through a unified like space.
But that's the thing, people just have to get involved. When I started helping with Counter-Strike, I knew absolutely nothing about it. When I started writing for Esports Malta, I hadn't written an article in my life. So it's just literally just go, like if anybody's half interested, they should just get involved. Because it really makes a difference, because there's such a need for it. There's such a need for it. So...
And I feel like there are people that want to give it a try. Maybe they just don't know exactly where to start from. Or maybe they're scared, actually. I don't even know. I mean, I would love to talk to a few and tell them my opinion and how they should get into it. I'm down to help anyone that wants to give it a shot. But yeah, it just comes down to people, like, for example, being busy. Like, I had teammates drop from my CS team weeks before the tournament when we've already agreed to participate because of studies, or maybe they had work that day and they couldn't get leave or something. So I think overall commitment and dedication is very lacked upon in our scene, and we really need new, fresh people that come in, bring this energy and vibe, and hopefully grow the scene.
Exactly. But that Esports Award was great. I can't wait for next year.
I can't wait.
I can't wait.
I wish
I'm
it was
so
next
excited.
week.
Whoosh, I'm so excited. There's a really funny. I went. So this was on Friday, and then on Sunday there was a Tekken tournament, which I went to write an article and take some photos. They gave Leon and Rachel the microphone to give a few words. Leon, man, he's just so funny. Anki meta tella, he won Fighting Game Player of the Year. Meta tella, so Max obviously is quite a funny guy. He does, Bite to Bacon, and I'd classify him as a comedian, Max, whether he does it intentionally or not. And when he was one of the hosts of the awards, he was all the time sort of saying, kemm huma tajbin il-kommentaturi tal-Malta Premier League, because he's one of the commentators. And but meta rebatta Leon, tella, that I want to start by thanking the commentators of it was really funny. And
it was a nice segment.
It was and when he went then on Sunday and they were asking him to say some words, I was like, I have to be honest, I went there and I was like, okay, I expect to win this one. I mean, it was pretty stacked, but Leon is like, Leon is...
I knew he would win, but at the same time I was nervous he wouldn't win, and I really wanted him to win.
I made predictions for every category, and only around 2 or 3 of them.
I think, I'm not gonna lie, the PlayCon Tekken tournament, which he won, solidified him being the winner.
I think he would have won.
But I was still nervous,
He said, I went there, and I said, okay, I think I will win it. But then the first 2 awards, he said, went to people he completely didn't expect. And then he got nervous.
Of course.
And it was really funny.
It'll. I mean, it could have gone either way, but he dedicates so much time as well.
Yeah, and he's the only, in
So-
my opinion, international Maltese esports competitor currently. For instance, at the highest tier,
Yeah.
there's SXJ of Overwatch, but I would say, no disrespect to Overwatch, Tekken is a more competitive scene, I think.
I think it's apples to oranges. You can't really compare because it's Overwatch, you're playing in a team, and
True.
Tekken,
And
you're playing
by
solo.
yourself, oh.
You're very independent. I mean, both in their own respects have their own like skill levels.
For
as well,
sure,
so-
but like sort of the size of the
Yeah,
scene,
I mean,
think. Overwatch was
Tekken,
larger. I
Tekken
think,
is definitely a kind of harder game, I would say, because it's only you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like chess. Like if you make a mistake, it's your fault, kind of. In Overwatch, you can have a bad game, or even in Counter-Strike, you can have a bad game, but then your guy like pops off and your team wins. It's obviously a team-oriented game, but yeah, when you're the only one in the team,
It's all on
Tekken,
you.
it's like you have to have a lot of mental fortitude to
Exactly.
overcome it.
All right. That's, I think, a very nice, very long, and
a
I love
very
that.
long one.
I love that. Honestly, just kept going. It was actually, it wasn't like forced. Like I have the question. I didn't open my phone to look at the questions once, and we still went through every single point because we just did a retrospective and we just talked about everything because there's so much to say. There's so
There
much to
is.
say, and also we haven't even scratched the surface, in my opinion, because every single LAN we could spend 2 hours talking about every single LAN. But thank you very much
Thank you
for
for
joining us. Zelion. Issa, I'm telling you, qed nagħmluhom kollha tal-reverse. Kellna Leon, kellna Jensen Kass for reverse. We had you. No, issa, hopefully we will have another reverse player very shortly. So
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean,
that konna l-Mick, just so
through
kellna fuq
them.
esports
and with
and
Mick, you're
water.
never gonna stop talking.
No,
because
the Lockstock show had 6 hours of
Yeah.
worth of
Mick
content.
has so much to say about the scene, and I'm really thankful to have him in the scene. Of course, like he's the only one leading the organization, like Project Aversio,
And also the Malta
and
Esports
the Malta, yes, of
Association.
course.
So
Without him, we wouldn't have anything.
no, for sure. Esports in Malta would be obviously. There's people like Kevin and Mario,
Yes,
who
but he's like the
contribute.
main figure.
And even internationally,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Michele who really pushes the thing. So massive respect to
Yeah.
him. But anyway, guys, that was episode 21 of Breath. If you're still here somehow after
Bro,
an
you're
hour
a
and half,
legend if you stayed.
legend, or you're a massive Counter-Strike fan. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao, boss.